Hello and welcome back to another video. This is the 5st episode of the story, in which Naruto is adopted by Uchiha clan. Hit like and subscribe buttons. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? As I watched the Ado and Suna Shinobi leap up and attack the Konoha civilians, his face morphed into one of anger. What is the meaning of this? He growled as he turned towards the Kazekage and Hiruzen. I'm afraid I wasn't completely forthcoming, said Hiruzen as he threw off his robes to reveal an armored battle outfit. You see, that thing in front of you, is not the Kazekage. What? Exclaimed the Hokage. Well now, said the Kazekage in a sinister voice, it seems I underestimated your intelligence network. Sensei. The man removed the robes and veil he was wearing, revealing a familiar pale face wearing gray robes with a purple rope serving as a belt. Orochimaru growled as he recognized the Sannin from the Bingo books. So this attack is your doing? You could say that, said Orochimaru with a smirk. Now, how about joining me, Hokage? Get some vengeance against Konoha for all they've done against your village. You want me to side with you against Konoha? Asked A before he blurred into motion and plunged a Raten chakra-coated hand through the Sannin's heart. I would rather die than side with a man who has committed as many atrocities as you have. The Sannin twitched for a second as his heart was crushed, but then his mouth opened unnaturally wide in a second. Completely uninjured, Orochimaru climbed out and flipped away to make some distance. I see, said Orochimaru, so that is your response. The snake Sannin snapped his fingers and the Kazekage entourage transformed into 4 Auto Shinobi with puffs of smoke. They quickly vanished in a blur of sunshine with Orochimaru, causing the cage to follow them until they reached the roof of the cage building. Once there, they leapt to the 4 corners and slammed their hands into the ground. Shin Shijin, they yelled, causing 4 walls of purple flames to form that barricaded off the cage and Orochimaru from the other fighters. Now then, said the Sannin as he made several hand seals, this seems quite unfair, so let me even things out a bit. Kushios, Edo-tensei. 2 stone coffins rose from the ground and opened up, allowing 2 men wearing Konoha headbands and old shinobi armor colored red and blue to step out. Orochimaru quickly stabbed kunai with a sealing tag into the backs of the shinobi and their eyes went blank. That's, said A in surprise. The Shodai Nidaime Hokage, muttered Hiruzen. Orochimaru, how far have you fallen to use that jutsu? I have surpassed all that have come before me, said Orochimaru as he drew a sword from his maw and held it ready. This will be the day you die, sensei. Hokage-sama, said Hiruzen, if you could deal with my predecessors, then I will deal with my wayward student. Kushios no jutsu. A poof of smoke exploded and when it cleared, a humanoid simian figure was standing there. So, it's Orochimaru, Sarutobi? Said the figure, are you finally dealing with him? Yes, said Hiruzen, today will be the final battle Enma. Fine, said Enma, let's end this. Hench, Kongan Yai. The simian transformed into a large metal staff that Hiruzen caught in his arms. Shall we, Hokage-sama? I suppose I must, said A as he shrouded his body in Raten chakra, and it's not every day that you get to fight Hashirama and Tobirama Senju, 2 of Konoha's most prominent kage. Let's begin then, said Orochimaru and the combatants raced at each other. Scene XX. While this was happening, Naruto and Sasuke were lying in the arena, still spent from their battle as the fighting happened around them. All the shinobi attending were too busy dealing with the enemy shinobi to be able to help them. Well, all but one. Naruto-kun, exclaimed Hinata as she leapt down next to them. Her injuries from the previous match were minor and easily dealt with, so she had been able to attend the finals. Hinata-kun, said Naruto, we need your help. Focusing the last of his chakra, Naruto activated his Rinnegan and called upon the King of Hell, carry us into its mouth. Quickly. Hinata nodded and hauled her 2 teammates through the purple flames and into the maw of the King of Hell. Once inside, she could feel her injuries quickly disappearing due to the energies in the maw and she could feel Naruto and Sasuke straightening up as they regained their strength. Soon the mouth opened again and the completely revitalized Team 7 stepped out. Right, said Naruto, now to help with the invasion. I'm afraid I cannot allow that, said a voice behind Naruto, causing the blonde to spin around before getting kicked across the ground via foot to the midsection. Team 7 regrouped and faced a young man with white hair, pale skin, and green eyes, wearing gray robes with a purple rope belt indicating his allegiance to Otto. What do you want, team? Growled Naruto. My name is Kimimaro, said the man. Orochimaru-sama has sent me to bring the 3 of you to him. By whatever means necessary. In your dreams, yelled Naruto as he aimed a kick at the man, but, to the blonde's surprise, several bone spikes emerged from his skin and pierced through the leg, holding it in place away from his body. "I'm afraid you don't have a choice," said Kimimaro coldly as Naruto cried out in pain, before kicking the boy to the ground, causing the spike to be ripped out of his leg. "Naruto-kun," cried out Hinata. "Don't worry," said Naruto, "I'll be fine. I'm going to give you enough for a two-tailed cloak," said the QB, "You'll likely need it against this guy." Red chakra surrounded Naruto, causing his wound to close up as he stood and was surrounded in an aura resembling a two-tailed fox. Getting the message, Sasuke activated his cursed seal and was transformed as well, while Hinata activated her Byakugan and got into a Jukin stance. "So, you intend to resist," said Kimimaro as he slipped off the top part of his robes, exposing his toned torso. Yanagi no Mae. Blades made of bone sprouted from Kimimaro's shoulders, palms, elbows, and knees, and he got into a crouch stance. Naruto quickly made a hand seal and summoned several Kage Bunshine, all covered in a chakra cloak, to attack the Atonin, but Kimimaro moved quickly and gracefully like a willow in the breeze, simultaneously dodging attacks and dispelling the Kage Bunshine with ease before rushing at the original. The only thing that kept Naruto from being cut to ribbons was the protection the cloak of Kyuubi chakra gave him. That and the fact that he wouldn't get dispelled from a single kick. Sasuke then attacked as Naruto was knocked to the ground, biting his finger and swiping the blood on Kuketsuki's flat edge, causing the blade to be covered in lightning as he attacked Kimimaro with great speed. But the Auto Shinobi took advantage of the strength of his bones and their non-conductive nature to dodge or deflect all of Sasuke's attacks while landing some slashes on him as well. "Haki Kusho!" yelled Hinata as she thrust her palm forward, sending a vacuum shell out that slammed into Kimimaro, sending him skidding back. "Nice Hinata-kun," said Naruto as he made several hand seals. "Suten, Suryuden no Jutsu." Naruto spat out a dragon of water that streaked towards Kimimaro and sent him flying into the arena wall, but when the dust cleared, the Auto Shinobi cracked his neck and regarded them with an emotionless look. "You three are stronger than I had anticipated," said the Auto Shinobi as he reached for his back. "It seems I will have to try a bit harder." Tessen no Mai, Tsuru. The three Genin watched with shock and awe as their opponent reached behind him and proceeded to pull out his own spinal column and wield it like a spiny whip. Kimimaro quickly lashed out with his new weapon, coiling it around Naruto's ankle before giving a swift pull, yanking the blonde off his feet and flinging him at his friends. Team 7 quickly jumped back up and went on the defensive, dodging swings from this new weapon thanks to their training and the enhanced sight their Dujutsu gave them as they tried to find an opening in this deadly dance. Scene XX Ratening Sator 2. The Rikage shot forward at blinding speed, thanks to the power of his Raten Chakra mode, and delivered a powerful punch aimed at the reanimated corpse of the Nidaime Hokage, but when he made contact, the corpse shattered into ashes and quickly put itself back together due to the nature of the jutsu giving it false life. "Che," muttered the Rikage, "fighting these puppets is getting tiresome." "Makuten Haijutsu, Jukai Katan," yelled the Shodai Hokage as he clasped his hands together, causing a forest of trees to sprout forth in the enclosed battle area. I took full advantage of his enhanced speed to leap from branch to branch in order to avoid being caught in the growing forest, before aiming a powerful axe kick at Hashirama. "Jiraiya Chindaropu." The Shodai Hokage glanced up with his empty gaze and made several hand seals before clasping his hands together once more. "Makuten, Mokuryu no Jutsu." The reanimated Hokage created a serpentine wooden dragon that intercepted the Rikage's attack, shattering into splinters as a result, but it was still able to deflect the kick and send the Rikage tumbling across the ground. While this had been happening, Tobirama had finished regenerating his body and made several hand seals of his own. "Suten, Suadana," yelled the Nidaime Hokage before spitting out a stream of water that sliced through several tree trunks as it streaked toward day. The stream of water slammed into the Rikage and sent him flying back through several trees, his Raten Chakra armor being the only thing keeping him from being sliced in two. "DCH," muttered Day as he wiped some blood from his mouth, "this is going to be harder than I thought." "To be expected, I guess." Meanwhile, Hiruzen was fighting his former student in a violent exchange of blows. Hiruzen attacked viciously with his Diamond Heart Staff, with the Snake Sanin using his sword to quickly parry the blows until he was able to disarm the Hokage with a quick strike, sending the staff flying into the air. Hiruzen wasn't phased though and quickly made a Kage Bunshine N that made several hand seals as the original leapt into the air after his staff. "Kaden, Karyuenden," yelled the Kage Bunshine as it breathed out a dragon of fire that streaked towards Orochimaru, forcing the Sanin to make several hand seals of his own. "Kushios," said Orochimaru as he slammed his hands onto the roof in front of him. "Rashomon." An iron gate bearing the visage of a scowling Oni rose from the ground and blocked the fire dragon, causing the torrent of flames to stream past the barrier, flowing around the gates and leaving the Sannin unharmed as the gate receded into the ground. Hiruzen used his Kage Bunshine's attack as a diversion and grabbed his staff out of the air and thrust it at his student, causing the staff to extend and slam into Orochimaru's chest, shattering his ribs. To a normal person, this kind of injury would be quite debilitating and potentially fatal, but the Snake Sannin dealt with it by ejecting a new, healthy, body from the mouth of the old one. "You cannot win, old man," laughed the Sannin, "for unlike you, I have traveled far along the road toward true immortality, while you remain old and frail. Your time has ended." "We shall see," said Hiruzen, "I may not survive this fight, but I will ensure the safety of this village and those who inhabit it with my last breath." Hiruzen and his Kage Bunshine blurred through several hand seals before both taking a deep breath. "Kaden, Karyuenden. Futon, Shinkua." Hiruzen breathed out a dragon of fire while his Kage Bunshine released a storm of wind that picked up the flames and turned it into a devastating firestorm that engulfed Orochimaru and burned away several of the trees that had grown on the roof. Hiruzen watched as the flames that had engulfed his former student faded away, leaving only some burnt ashes, and it was only his decades of training and experience that kept him from getting impaled from behind by Orochimaru's sword. As the blade passed by his head, Hiruzen aimed the back of his staff so that it would be pointed directly at the Sannin's chest and caused it to extend backwards, smashing into his ribcage and sending him flying across the roof. As the Sundaime turned, he saw his former student emerge from the mouth of his previously broken body, unharmed as usual. But something was different. "I see now," said Hiruzen, "that technique isn't as foolproof as I thought." "I don't believe I follow," said Orochimaru, "perhaps you're getting senile, old man." The Hokage shook his head. "No, these eyes, while old, are still sharp enough to spot the signs of chakra exhaustion. Ragged breath, bulging veins near your tenketsu, bloodshot eyes, tightness in your skin. You use that technique to escape from injury like a snake shedding skin, but it must take its toll on you." Hiruzen smirked and raised his adamantine staff into a fighting stance. "So now this becomes a battle of attrition. Will you be able to defeat me, or will I force you to exhaust your chakra before that happens?" The Sannin growled and raised the sword of Kusanagi he held in his hand. "I will enjoy ending you, old man." "We shall see about that," said Hiruzen before the two combatants blurred into motion, their weapons locking together with a resounding crash. XXX the members of Team 7 were breathing hard with several cuts across their bodies and tears in their outfits as they faced their opponent, who still had a calm expression despite the situation. The Auto Shinobi regarded them with an unimpressed look as he shrugged off the torn upper section of his outfit, revealing a toned torso with a few shallow cuts due to the attacks that got through his defenses. "You three are unimpressive," said Kimimaro as he let his spine whip rest at his side, "though I am surprised you have lasted so long." "Team," spat Naruto as he pulled himself to his feet, "Kage Bunshine no Jutsu. I suppose I should end this and deliver you to Orochimaru-sama," said Kimimaro as he snapped his spine whip and easily cut through the onslaught of clones that Naruto sent at him. "I'll make it quick." Kimimaro lashed out with the whip, sending it swinging at Hinata's neck, and he would have taken her head off if Naruto hadn't leapt into the way and used his arm to block, relying on his chakra cloak to protect him from the bone whip's sharp edges. Undeterred, Kimimaro gave the whip a tug, pulling the Jinchuriki off his feet as he created a bone sword and raised it to block a blow from Sasuke's Kuketsuki. Swinging his foot out, Kimimaro caused several bone spikes to sprout from his leg, allowing the Auto Shinobi to impale the Uchiha with a kick, only for his opponent to be revealed to be a Kage Bunshine when he went up in a poof of smoke. His danger senses triggering, Kimimaro flipped himself into the air, allowing him to dodge a torrent of flames that Naruto and Sasuke had spat at him from two separate directions. Landing, he fired off projectiles in the form of his finger bones, that knocked Naruto back, and left Sasuke with several cuts on his body. "Suiten," said Hinata as she made several hand seals, "Mizurappa." "Raiten," said Naruto as he quickly recovered and moved to assist, "Jaibashi." The wave of water and lightning shot at Kimimaro, but the shinobi's expression did not change as he expertly dodged out of the way, but this time, Hinata was ready for him as he touched down again. "Haki Sanjuni Sho!" yelled Hinata as she charged at Kimimaro landing spot, chakra coating her hands as she prepared to strike. The Auto Shinobi instinctively twisted in the air and moved back to create distance once he touched down, knowing that the technique she was using had the potential to bypass his natural defenses, but as Hinata moved in, her teammates were not idle. "Doten, Doryuki!" yelled Naruto as he created a curved wall of stone that sprouted from the ground and boxed Kimimaro in, with Sasuke following up by throwing several Raiten-infused kunai that pinned the shinobi to the wall, holding him in place. Hinata slammed several palm strikes into Kimimara's body, sealing off several of the shinobi's tenketsu before he was able to break free and kick the girl away. The bone user staggered slightly as he felt his chakra flow being partially inhibited by the sealed tenketsu, and for the first time, an annoyed frown appeared on Kimimara's face as he regarded the three Jinan. "It seems you three are more of a nuisance than I initially believed," said Kimimaro as he flexed his hand, feeling the stiffness in his body. "Perhaps I should start actually trying." The Jinan of Team 7 watched as black marks spread across Kimimaro's body, similar to what happened when Sasuke activated his cursed seal, and before their eyes, their enemy underwent a transformation. Kimimaro's skin turned dark grayish-brown with black marks around his eyes, his hair darkened to a dark gray color, 6 bone spikes emerged from his back, and a tail formed at the base of his spine with bone ridges on it. Feeling his master's chakra flowing through his body, compensating for the disruption in the natural flow that Hinata's attack had caused, Kimimaro cracked his neck and regarded the three Jinan. "I will deliver your broken bodies to Orochimaru-sama," said Kimimaro as he readied his bone whip and sword. "You will not win." Kimimaro moved forward, slower this time due to his altered body, swinging his bone whip at the Jinan, with Naruto using his chakra cloak to block it from hitting his teammates again. But this time was different. This time, when Kimimaro yanked Naruto toward him, the blonde delivered a powerful punch to the side of Kimimaro's face, causing his head to snap to the side. Naruto was then sent flying into the far wall of the arena by a kick from Kimimaro, the shinobi taking advantage of the advanced strength that is cursed seal of earth to send the blonde flying, and it was only his chakra cloak that kept Naruto from having his ribs caved in. Sasuke then took the initiative and attacked with the lightning-covered edge of Kuketsuki, slashing at Kimimaro's body, taking advantage of his superior speed to break through Kimimaro's guard and deliver several slashes to his torso, but they were only superficial as he was not able to cut through Kimimaro's extra dense bones. Kimimaro knocked him aside and then began to sprout bones from his left arm that twisted together until they formed into a drill-like shape. "Tessenka no Mai, Hana," said Kimimaro as he raised his new weapon. Sasuke quickly prepared himself, readying his blade as Kimimaro swung his whip at him. The transformed Itonin swung his whip, causing it to extend and wrap around Sasuke's body, holding him in place as Kimimaro rushed forward with his bone drill and thrust it forward, impaling the Uchiha, taking care to avoid any critical organs so that his master would still be able to take advantage of the Uchiha's body. Though as it turned out, he needn't have worried, as Sasuke's body was replaced with a now broken rock. Sasuke then appeared out of his blind spot, having substituted himself with a piece of rubble, with the Chidori enveloping his hand. Sasuke thrust his lightning-coated hand forward, causing Kimimaro to bring his bone drill up to block. The Raiden technique fought against the density of Kimimaro's technique, even causing some cracks to form on the super heart bones around the point of impact, but ultimately, Kimimaro's technique held firm and he knocked the Uchiha aside. Hinata then sprung forward, having recovered from being kicked aside, and slammed several Juken strikes into Kimimaro's improvised shield, but her attacks were unable to do any lasting damage either. "Any thoughts?" asked Naruto as he ran up. "We'll need to break through his defenses," said Sasuke, "otherwise we'll never win." "That drill of his is..." My Chidori barely scratched it. "I have an idea," said Naruto, "all of our bests at once. Hinata-kun, drive him back. Nizan, let's go." Hinata nodded and rushed forward, slamming powerful Juken strikes into the Auto Shinobi's defense, forcing him to step back due to the force, while Naruto and Sasuke charged up their Rasengan and Chidori respectively, their techniques being colored by the forms they were in. When Kimimaro found his back touching the rock wall that Naruto had erected, Hinata jumped away, allowing the two brothers to rush forward with their attacks. Kimimaro responded by thrusting forward his bone weapon as the brothers slammed their two attacks into it, the two destructive attacks holding the point of the drill back. The bone weapon fought against the destructive power of the two jutsu and cracks began to form across the surface of the weapon. The penetrating Raiden chakra and the raw strength of the spiraling sphere were overpowering the dense chakra-created calcium construct. Together, the two brothers thrust their jutsu forward, causing the bone drill to explode apart, knocking all of them to the ground and disrupting their jutsu in the process. "You broke it," said Kimimaro as he pulled himself to his feet. "Nobody has ever managed that before. I see I will have to stop holding back." "A pity, you probably won't survive." Kimimaro clasped his hands together and began to channel his chakra, Saarabi. Suddenly, as he was about to enact his jutsu, Kimimaro's body seized up and he began to vomit blood as he fell to his knees. "No," he gasped, "forgive me, Orochimaru-sama. I have failed." As the three Genin of Team 7 watched their opponent's life fade away in confusion, a shadowy figure watched from a secluded location. "It seems my experimental medication wasn't enough for Kimimaro to complete his mission," said a gray-haired teen as he adjusted his glasses and removed a Konoha Hitaye, replacing it with one bearing the Auto crest. "A pity. He could have been quite useful in future projects." The shinobi, known as Kabuto Yakushi, Orochimaru's right-hand man and spy in Konoha, vanished in a blur of sunshine. Scene XX. Meanwhile, the Ondaime Raikage grimaced as he took full advantage of the speed granted to him by his Raiten chakra mode to avoid being slammed by a pillar of wood and to dodge a dragon made of water that tried to eat him. As he smashed a tree branch that had tried to impale him with a punch, he noted that there was a reason that these two Kage, dead or not, were so known for their skill during their age. And it wasn't just their power. The two Senju brothers fought together well, even with Orochimaru's jutsu robbing them of their free will. It didn't help that the two former Kage kept regenerating whenever he took them down, thought ruefully as he smashed his fist through the Shodai and watched as the undead Hokage's body pulled itself back together, as if to reinforce his point. "This could get tedious," muttered as he snapped out a kick at such a speed that it released a shockwave of wind that flew at the two resurrected Kage and bisected them along with several of the chakra-enhanced trees. "Makuten," said Hashirama as he went through several hand seals as his body reformed, "Mokuri no Jutsu." The Shodai Hokage created a serpentine dragon of wood that streaked across the rooftop battleground and bore down on the Ondaime Raikage. Growled, knowing that he couldn't just keep dodging, or this would become a battle of attrition that he could not win, and flashed toward the dragon, slamming his fist into the wooden beast's head, causing it to explode into splinters. "Might wanna hurry up, Sarutobi," he yelled toward the Hokage as he used his speed to destroy the two former Hokage yet again. As the Raikage fought the reincarnated Kage, Hiruzen continued to trade blows with his former student. The two high-level shinobi clashed with their weapons, launching powerful jutsu at each other that blasted craters into the battlefield as their conflict went on. "You're tiring, old man," said Orochimaru as Hiruzen blocked a slash from the Sanin's sword of Kusanagi with his adamantine staff. "I could say the same to you," quipped Hiruzen as he almost caved in the Sanin's ribcage when said shinobi barely dodged a strike from the Kage's staff when it quickly extended in length. "You had so much potential, Orochimaru, and you wasted all with your actions now. I'll have you know," said Orochimaru as he jumped back, "that I have taken more steps to achieving my potential than any have in existence." "You have taken steps, yes," said Hiruzen, "but with your deeds, they are only steps backwards. I will show you just how far I've come from those days as your hopeful little student," growled the snake Sanin. "We shall see," said Hiruzen as he blurred through several hand seals, Kawara Shuriken. Several dozen tiles lifted off the rooftop and began to spin, before shooting at the snake Sanin like improvised shuriken. Orochimaru quickly readied his sword and slashed through each of them as they neared his person, before making several quick hand seals. "Futon, Daitappa," yelled Orochimaru, releasing a blast of wind that forced Hiruzen to use chakra to stick to the roof to avoid getting blown into the barrier around them. Taking advantage of his opponent being on the defensive due to his attack, Orochimaru rushed forward and swung his sword, severing the arm Hiruzen wasn't using to hold his staff, knocking his former sensei to the ground and pointing his blade at his face. "You're finished, sensei," said Orochimaru as he raised his blade. "Your time has ended." Suddenly, the roof of the Hokage building exploded, disrupting the shinobi that were maintaining the barrier and sending the combatants into a free fall. Capitalizing on his former student being caught off guard, Hiruzen caused 5 flames to appear on his fingers and thrust his clawed hand into the Sanin's stomach, causing a 5-pronged sealing array to form, blocking off the Sanin's chakra flow. Out of the smoke Jiraiya and 2 Kage Bunshin appeared and rushed forward. His Bunshin quickly made seals and slapped tags on the 2 resurrected Kage that caused Fuinjutsu arrays to form over their bodies to petrify them, while the original caught his sensei as he fell. "Jiraiya," growled Orochimaru, "damn you." Before the Sanin could say any more, he was interrupted by an electrified blur that slammed a kick into his stomach, sending him flying into the ground as he vomited blood from internal injuries. The Raikage, having been freed up from fighting the Shodai and Nidaime, landed in a crouch and spat a bit of blood out from a good hit that had managed to get through. "I always hated snakes," said as the snake Sanin's forces regrouped around him and helped their master up. "We're leaving," commanded a red-headed Otokunoichi before making several hand seals and releasing a genjutsu that lasted long enough for them to make their escape. "Sensei," said Jiraiya as he performed emergency first aid to stop the old man's bleeding. "The village is safe," said Hiruzen, but as he looked over the widespread damage from the battle between the 3 forces, he sighed, "But at what cost?" The invasion of Konoha was over. The Oto and Suna Shinobi had been repelled and the village continued to stand resilient. But the true damage was not to the buildings or the streets. Even with the extra security precautions that Hiruzen had put in place before and after learning of the invasion plan, the village had suffered both civilian and shinobi casualties thanks to the attacking enemy shinobi. To top it off, the Hokage himself was in critical condition in the Konoha hospital due to the injuries he received fighting his former student. Luckily the building had been protected from the battle by several layers of Fuinjutsu arrays that had been put up by the Shodai Hokage and added to and improved on by the Nidaime, the Sundaime, the Sannin Jiraiya, and the Ondaime. The collective belief was that the hospital was the one building they could not afford to lose in an attack. It was in that building that we would find Jiraiya, visiting the Sundaime as he weakly rested in a room, recovering from chakra exhaustion and the injuries Orochimaru inflicted on him. "Sensei," said the Toad Sage as he kneeled by his former teacher's bedside, "I'm sorry, I should have stopped Orochimaru earlier." "Do not grieve," said Hiruzen, "this old man has many years left in him. You are not to blame for my former student's choices. If you had not intervened when you did, I'm afraid we would not be having this conversation. Do not focus on what could have been. We need to start planning for the future, and with the injuries I have received, I won't be able to continue for much longer." "Sensei," said Jiraiya worriedly, "don't say things like that. You have many more years left in you." "Do not fret," chuckled Hiruzen weakly, "I was not referring to my demise. I simply meant, it's time for me to retire, permanently." "Sensei, you know my position on succeeding you," sighed Jiraiya. "I know," said Hiruzen seriously, "and there is a solution. I have someone else in mind to take my hat in the long term. Jiraiya, I'll need you to go out on a mission. It's time Tsunade returns to her home." "You know she won't willingly come back," said Jiraiya, "not after all that she's been through." Hiruzen nodded, "I simply need you to deliver a message." Scene XX 2 days later, the Konoha Junon that had participated in the Chunin exams tournament phase were summoned to the Hokage's office to hear whom among them had been selected to advance to the rank of Chunin. When they entered the office, they found the Sundaime waiting for them, his lost arm at the hands of Orochimaru apparent by the sleeve of his robes that hung at his side, empty. "Everyone," said Hiruzen as he faced the group from behind his desk, "first of all, I would like to express my pride in all of you. From the reports of the shinobi in the field, your actions during the invasion were exactly what we expect of shinobi of Konoha, and while those actions will not lead to a Chunin promotion by themselves, they have been factored into our final decision along with your performance in the exam itself. Now, I'm sure many of you are waiting to find out who among you has earned a promotion, so I shall continue." Akimichi Ichoji, the heavy-set teen, for once without his customary bag of chips, stepped forward and stood at attention in front of the Hokage. "I'm sorry," said Hiruzen, causing the boy to wilt, "while you performed adequately during the invasion, your performance in the actual exams wasn't enough to warrant a promotion." As the teen took his spot back in line, Hiruzen checked the scroll on his desk again. "Hyuga Hinata." The shy girl leaped and took a step forward. The Hokage regarded her for a moment before smiling with a nod. "Your skill with your clan techniques was exemplary and your actions with your team during the invasion, taking on a high-level shinobi set after your group showed me that you are truly ready for this promotion. Congratulations." Hinata's eyes went wide and she gave a stiff bow before moving back in line, shocked and astounded that she had earned her promotion on her first go. Once she was back in place, Hiruzen called the next person on his list, Hyuga Neji. The elder Hyuga clan member stepped forward to stand in front of the Hokage as Hiruzen read over the reports. "While your performance was exemplary, your tendency to let your emotions cloud your thinking detracted from the points in your favor," said Sarutobi firmly. "A Chunin must be able to keep a clear head no matter the situation and no matter his or her opponent. However, Hiyashi has spoken up on your behalf in regards to the sheer talent and skill you possess, as made evident in your ability to reverse engineer several of the main branch techniques. Therefore, you shall be promoted, but placed under a probationary period to see if you truly possess the mindset needed to be a Chunin." Neji nodded in agreement and stepped back into line as the Hokage called Rock Lee forward, the green-clad Junon standing straight, obviously working to contain all the energy he usually had. The Sundaime regarded the energetic teen before frowning. "While it is clear you have extraordinary strength, thanks to your skill with Daijutsu and your ability to use the 8 gates shows this, however that is not all there is to being a Chunin. A Chunin must be able to think clearly and act beyond charging headlong into danger wielding nothing but your fists. As shown in your match, you were quickly caught off guard by your opponent's Genjutsu, leaving you defenseless. I'm afraid that, until you overcome this weakness, and I am sure you will eventually. I cannot condone promoting you to Chunin." Lee stepped back into line with a disheartened look, prompting Hiruzen to call the next applicant forward. Masamune Tenten, step forward. The weapon mistress took a step forward to stand before the Hokage, wondering what the village leader would have to say about her. Hiruzen nodded. "You have shown an excellent skill with the various weapons you wield and an uncanny aptitude for Fuinjutsu as shown by the scrolls you used for your final technique. Your sensei has also expressed how you continue to grow and learn despite being from a civilian background and having the added responsibility of running one of the village's most important shinobi tool shops. I am happy to say that you have earned your promotion." Tenten bowed happily before taking her spot back in line, prompting Sarutobi to call Shikamaru forward. "Shikamaru Nara," said the Hokage, "you're lazy. As a Chunin, you will not have that luxury. In the field and in command, you will need to and be expected to give your all in service to the village. If this was all, I would not condone a promotion, but your sensei has spoken up in regards to your vast intelligence and tactical mind, a sentiment that your father echoes. Therefore, you, like Neji, will be given a probationary promotion to Chunin. I expect you to shape up within that period. You will be reduced in rank and disciplined accordingly. That is all." The Nara heir gave a stiff nod, acknowledging his dressing down, and stepped back into line, allowing Sarutobi to move on to the two victors of the exam tournament, Uchiha Sasuke, and Uchiha Naruto. The two brothers stepped forward, prompting the Hokage to give them an approving nod. "The two of you have shown remarkable skill in the exams, the fact that you both tied as the victors shows this. Sasuke, your skill with your Sharingan and Kenjutsu was complemented by your ability to control the power that your cursed seal grants you. You also showed great aptitude for Katen and Raiten Jutsu, having even learned Kakashi's Chidori technique, allowing me to approve your promotion to Chunin." Turning to Naruto, the Sun Daime regarded the son of his late predecessor. "Naruto, you have grown so much from your days in the academy. You've shown skill in all 5 elements, with enough aptitude for Suten Jutsu to use them without a prior water source, a high-level technique. You have also shown aptitude for the Yondaime's Rasengan technique and, coupled with your Dujutsu, this makes you a formidable opponent. As stated earlier, this is not all we look for in Chunin-level shinobi, but your sensei has spoken of your ability to quickly learn through actions and interactions, despite a difficulty in scholastic environments. Your mastery of the Tajukage Bunshin Kenjutsu adds to my decision that you be promoted to Chunin." Finally, said Sarutobi, "Yamanaka Ino. I'm afraid that, like Hakimishizen, your performance was not enough to warrant a promotion." Regarding the gathered Genin, Hiruzen let a smile form on his face. "To all that have been promoted, congratulations, but remember that there is always steps ahead to reach for and room to grow. To those that have not, you must continue to work and strive to be as great as you can be. You all have the potential to be great shinobi. You are all dismissed. Expect to receive your flak jackets by the end of the week." The gathered shinobi left and, once they were gone, Jiraiya stepped into the room. "I've looked over your proposal, sensei. Are you sure Tsunade will agree to it?" "She will," said the Sandaime. "I have given her much leeway in her grief, but it is time that she return home once more. In the wake of this invasion, we need her services more than ever." "I will set out immediately," said Jiraiya, "but I would like to also invite Naruto to join me. I intend to use the trip to further train him on utilizing the Kyuubi's chakra and to tell him of his parents." "I agree that this will be a good opportunity," said Hiruzen. His parents also left some letters for him to read upon his promotion. "I'll see that he gets them," said Jiraiya before he made his exit out the window. Scene XX I'd like to say that I am extremely proud of the 3 of you, said Kakashi, his single visible eye glowing with pride. The group had met up in front of the Konoha Memorial Stone after the announcement of their promotions, where Kakashi had said he had some gifts to congratulate their promotion from Genin. It is customary for Genin to receive a gift from their sensei upon their promotion to Chunin. The Nara, Akimichi, and Yamanaka families usually receive an earring from their sensei as is custom for their clans, and I have items for the 3 of you. Pulling out a scroll, Kakashi unfurled it to reveal 3 Fuinjutsu storage seals. Placing his hand on one, Kakashi unsealed a set of wristbands that he passed to Hinata. These bands have been engraved with storage seals that can hold kunai and shuriken, allowing you to take full advantage of your marksmanship without having to fish for a weapon. Hinata took the bands and placed them on her wrists, feeling how they fit her perfectly. Moving on, Kakashi placed his hand on the second array and unsealed a sheathed tanto. Drawing the blade, he revealed that it was made of a black metallic alloy. This blade is made from a metal that is highly conductive of chakra, he said as he passed the weapon to Naruto. It will complement your skill with Futon Chakra if you use them in conjunction. Naruto smiled and placed the sheath on his back so it was held perpendicular to his body, allowing Kakashi to unseal the final item, a large scroll. Sasuke, I would like to offer you the chance to sign the dog summoning contract, as I believe their tracking skill will complement your Sharingan quite well. Sasuke grinned as he stepped forward and bit his thumb to sign his name in blood. Once he was done, Kakashi smiled at his students with pride. They had come such a long way, and he believed that they would one day become shinobi that could rival ones with renown such like the Sannin if they worked hard enough. They had become his pride, and his legacy. Why exactly are we going on this mission again, Jiraiya-sensei? Groaned Naruto as he and the Toad Sannin walked through the forest, headed to a nearby town where Jiraiya hoped to find a trace of his old teammate, Tsunade Senju. It's for the Hokage, said Jiraiya. Tsunade is the best medic around and she should be able to help him recover from his injuries, as well as treat some of the other people injured in Orochimaru's attack. I know that much, said Naruto. I meant, why do I have to be on this mission? Well, said Jiraiya casually, I assumed you'd like to use the time to learn more about using the Kyuubi's chakra, along with some other super awesome jutsu I could teach you, but if you'd rather head back to the village. When can we start Daidobayo? Exclaimed Naruto excitedly, causing Jiraiya to chuckle. Well, said the Sannin, we've managed to cover a good amount of ground so far, so perhaps we can take a break. There should be a clearing ahead that we can use. Awesome! Cheered Naruto, let's go. The Sannin chuckled at the enthusiasm of his student as they continued on their way at a quicker pace, now that said student was properly motivated. He had spoken with Kakashi before they left Konoha in order to confirm that the Jonin would be giving the dog contract to only Sasuke. He wasn't trying to imply that Kakashi should focus on the Uchiha, it was just that he wanted to pass on something that had belonged to Naruto's parents, and signing the dog summoning contract would prove a bit counterproductive. His student's good cheer seemed contagious, and he decided to hasten his pace as well. After all, the odds were pretty good that Tsunade would come back with them. The Sandaime had left him with a message to deliver after all, and his sensei had assured him that it would ensure her return to them, though he hadn't been able to read it himself due to it being locked with a blood seal. But hey, what's the worst that could happen? Scene XX a ways away, in a small but bustling town, a blonde woman with an impressive bust was staring down at a wooden tile in her hand with an expression that was a mix of shock, joy, and horror. She had entered the town on her wanderings and had heard that the town was holding their annual lottery that week and, as per her reputation as a gambler, had paid several hundred ryo to the pot so she could get in on the game. It didn't hurt that the past 3 years had gone without a winner being declared and thus the prize money had been accumulating for 4 years and the payout was bigger than ever. On the tile in her hand was a set of numbers and symbols, but they weren't just any random combination. The tile that she had drawn was the winning combination for the lottery. Congratulations ma'am, said the announcer with glee, you've won our 1 billion ryo jackpot. As the first winner in 3 years, may I have a photo to post on the wall of fame? Shizune, said Tsunade, ignoring the man in front of her, gather up the prize money. We're leaving. Tsunade-sama, why? Asked a black-haired woman as she ran up in a black yukata carrying a small pig. Don't ask questions, said Tsunade, just get the money and pack up our things. We're leaving. We should be able to make it to Tanzaku in a few days if we hurry. Shizune was confused at her teacher's actions, but she quickly gathered up the prize money from the jackpot and hurried to their hotel room to gather their bags. After all, if her sensei decided they needed to get going on the double, then there must be a good reason, right? While she did this, Tsunade looked out at the sky with a troubled look on her face. Remembering each of the previous times she had been this successful through her gambling, she felt a looming sense of dread as she prayed that she would not have to watch anyone die this time. Tsunade-sama, said Shizune after a moment, snapping the Sannin out of her musings and making her realize that she had been standing there for a while. I've packed everything and we're ready to head out. Are you certain we can't stay any longer? Maybe we could contact some of the people you. Shizune, said Tsunade firmly, we are leaving. If we have the chance, we can contact them at the next town we reach. Hi, Tsunade-sama, sighed Shizune as the 2 women plus 1 pig headed out of the town. As they left, a man wearing a black cloak with bandages covering his face and a hitayate that bore an Atonin crest emerged from the shadows of an alley. Once the 2 women were out of sight, he ducked back into the alley and rolled up his sleeve, revealing several tattoos. The man made 3 hand seals and traced the outline of a swallowtail tattoo on his arm before closing his eyes. Ninpo, Junjutsu Shisha, said the man, causing the tattoo to rise up off his arm and fly off into the distance, seeking the one its master sent it to find. Once the butterfly tattoo was out of sight, the shinobi made a ram seal and vanished using a shunshine. X scene XX. Alright sensei, said Naruto as the two of them sat on rocks that were positioned around a makeshift fire pit. What are we going to learn first? Actually, said Jiraiya, before we get on to the things I wanted to teach you, there is something I want to give to you. You see, there's another reason I wanted to be your sensei. Not only was my own sensei the Sandaime, but one of the Jonin I led as a Jonin sensei, was your father. You knew my father? Said Naruto in surprise. And your mother? Nodded Jiraiya. In fact, you were named after the main character of my first novel, though that book didn't really sell very well, and your parents named me your godfather. You read out my godfather? Asked Naruto softly. I know I was not around as much as I should have been, sighed Jiraiya, but I had a duty to maintain Konoha's spy network. I still tried to keep tabs on. Before Jiraiya could finish, he was interrupted by Naruto rushing forward to hug him around the midsection. The Sannin was surprised, but placed his hand on the teen's back reassuringly. It's alright, said Naruto, I have family again. That's all that matters. The blonde pulled away with a smile on his face, prompting Jiraiya to pull out a scroll that was sealed shut. This was left to you by your parents, said the Sannin. It was blood sealed, so even I don't know what it says. Why haven't I gotten this before now? Asked Naruto curiously as he took the scroll and looked it over. You have to understand, said Jiraiya, your parents were powerful shinobi and earned their reputations during a time of war, so of course they gained many enemies from other villages, enemies that wouldn't hesitate to hunt down and kill their only child as a form of retribution for losses suffered in the war. Their wish was that you wouldn't receive this until you reached the rank of Chunin and were strong enough to make your own decisions and to defend yourself. Naruto nodded and bit his thumb to draw blood before swiping his blood across the seal on the scroll, causing it to release, allowing the blonde Jinchuriki to open the scroll and read his parents' last message to him. Dear Naruto, if you are reading this, then something must have happened to us and we are gone. I want you to know that you are, and always have been, the light of our lives, and that we both wish that we could be here saying these things, instead of relying on a letter to convey our regrets. Since it was our wish that you not read this until you reached the rank of Chunin, I guess I should say congratulations. And if you passed on your first try, then you really take after your old man. Anyways, you'll grow up to be a fine young man, I'm sure of it. After all, your parents turned out alright, and let's hope you didn't inherit your mother's temper. The ink smeared at this point. It seemed that his father had been whacked over the head when his mother saw that last remark. Ahaha, right. I guess what I want to say, is that I want you to live a happy and full life. Remember that your parents loved you and always look out for those you hold close. Keep the will of fire burning strong, and I hope we don't see you until you're an old man with grandchildren. Be happy. Minato Namikaze. Yondaime Hokage. Naruto's eyes widened as he finished reading the letter. His father was the legendary Yellow Flash of Konoha, the Yondaime. He quickly found his mother's message to him and began to read, wanting to know more about his family. My dear Sochi, I am so sorry I couldn't be there for you. I wanted to see you grow up and start a family of your own, but it seems that it was not to be. I guess you're wondering a few things about your Kasan, so let me tell you about myself. I came to the village as a child from our clan's home in Izu, where I met your father when I enrolled in the Shinobi Academy. I came to the village because I had been selected to become the second Jinchuriki to the Kyubi no Kitsune, as the first, Mito Uzumaki, the wife of the Shodai Hokage, was nearing the end of her long life. After graduating, I earned a reputation early on due to my hot temper and my round face and red hair, earning me a teasing nickname of Tomato. After beating up the 15th set of bullies, do not follow my example, you hear me, I earned a new nickname, the Red Hot Habanero. The day I found out I was pregnant with you was the happiest of my life, and it is my deepest regret that I am telling you this through a letter rather than to your face. I would hope you live a good and long life. Eat right, find happiness, and watch out for Jiraiya-sensei. With all my love, Kushina Uzumaki. My father was the Yondaime, said Naruto happily, but if he was my father, why did he or my mother allow the Kyubi to be sealed into me? It is because it could be nobody else, said Jiraiya. Your father could never ask of someone else something that he could not do himself. He could never force someone to sacrifice their own child if he could not do so himself. Minato-kun believed that you would have the strength to handle this burden, and I am pleased to say you have surpassed all my expectations. Thanks sensei, said Naruto. Now what are we going to train with first? Always so single-minded, chuckled Jiraiya. Well, I did have something special planned. I'm going to teach you a technique that has been passed down from me to your father and now to you. I'm going to teach you to summon toads." "So," said Jiraiya as he faced his student, "are you ready for the training I promised?" "Of course Tadabayo," exclaimed Naruto. After learning about his parents, Naruto was a bit shaken up about the whole thing. After all, it's not every day an orphan gets a letter from his deceased parents reassuring him that they have and always will love him, even from beyond death. But being the kind of person he was, he bounced back to his normal attitude and was ready to learn a new technique from the Toad Sage. "So, what are you going to teach me?" asked Naruto eagerly. "Well," said Jiraiya, "since you already learned the Rasengan, well, learned it to a point that is, I wanted to teach you a powerful jutsu that I passed down to your father. I think it's time it was passed down to you." Jiraiya made a few hand seals and placed his hand, palm down, on the ground, causing a few injutsu array to spread under him, Kushios no Jutsu. There was an explosion of smoke, and when it cleared, Jiraiya was seen standing on a large orange toad holding a scroll in its mouth. "I'm not called the Toad Sage for nothing, Gaki," smirked Jiraiya. "I am the holder of the Toad Summoning Contract, which allows me to summon these guys to help me in battle. I taught your father to summon as well, and now I'm offering you the chance to sign the contract as well." Naruto was indeed excited. He had seen the power of the jutsu when Team 7 had fought Orochimaru in the forest, and he had honestly been a bit envious when Kakashi had offered the dog contract to Sasuke. Now that he was being offered a summoning contract of his own, he was eager to leap at the opportunity. Add in the fact that the Ondaime, his father, used the contract in his tenure, made him all the more eager. "Humph," said the Kyuubi from within his mind, "the Toad contract is no joke in terms of power. When your father sealed me into you, he first fought and subdued me by summoning a giant toad that proceeded to land on my head and pin me to the ground. I also recall that the Sannin gained notoriety partially because of their summoning contracts, referred to as the three-way deadlock because of the animals they summoned. That really got him interested. What do I have to do?" "First of all, you have to sign the contract in blood," said Jiraiya as he retrieved the large scroll from the toad he summoned and unfurled it, revealing several names that had faded somewhat, including the name of Naruto's father, Minato Namikaze. The only name still displayed vibrantly was that of the Toad Sage Jiraiya. There were also several empty spots for new names. "Once you do that, I'll show you the hand seals for the jutsu. Just remember, this is a binding commitment. You can't just choose to end the contract and choose another summon. Not only would that offend the toads, but it would make other summoning clans see you in a bad light." Naruto brought his hand to his mouth and bit his thumb hard enough to draw blood and quickly wrote his name on the scroll in one of the empty spots using his blood. After he did so, Jiraiya rolled up the scroll and handed it back to the toad, dispelling the summon with a poof of smoke. "Now," said Jiraiya, "watch carefully and copy these hand seals." Naruto watched as Jiraiya showed him the seals required to perform the summoning technique, and once he felt his student was ready, he stepped back to let him make his first attempt. "Right," said Naruto as he bit his thumb and wove the hand seals for boar, dog, bird, monkey, and ram, before slamming his hand onto the ground, Kushios no Jutsu. Naruto was enveloped in a cloud of smoke and Jiraiya waited to see what his student accomplished. In all honesty, he had expected the boy to summon something like a tadpole, if anything, as the jutsu was highly complicated for even Chunin to use and had a high chakra requirement, so of course he was shocked when the smoke cleared and he saw a small orange toad standing in front of the blonde wearing a blue vest with black markings on his body. "Yo," said the toad as he raised a webbed hand in greeting. "I did it," said Naruto happily, though he was a bit disappointed that his summon wasn't as big or impressive as Jiraiya's. "So, you summoned me?" asked the orange toad. "Cool. The name's Gamikaze. Nice to meet ya." "Hey," said Naruto as he waved at the toad, "I'm Naruto Uchiha." "Cool," said the toad, "so what's up?" "Gamikaze," said Jiraiya, "if you could inform Bunda that a new summoner will be calling on him to formalize the contract?" "Sure thing," said Gamikaze, "nice meeting you, Naruto. Looking forward to working with you in the future." The toad vanished in a poof of smoke and Jiraiya walked over and tousled the hair of his student. "That was excellent work, Naruto. I'm impressed. But the toad you summoned was so much cooler than the one I summon," said Naruto. "First of all, never say something like that, especially not around any creature you summon. It could be taken as a grave insult," reprimanded Jiraiya before he smiled again. "But the fact that you were able to summon Gamikaze at all is a great feat." "Really?" asked Naruto, getting a nod from the Sannin. "Really," said Jiraiya before becoming thoughtful. "By the way, how much chakra were you putting into that jutsu?" "Well, I was afraid it would be like the Bunshine no Jutsu, so I tried to control the amount," said Naruto. I didn't want to summon a half-dead toad like when I tried to create a bunshine in class. Jiraiya simply chuckled, how about trying a little more then? The Kushios no Jutsu isn't as easy a technique as any of the other jutsu I've taught you, with the sole exception of the Rasengan. It's going to need a lot of power. Right, said Naruto as he made the hand seals again. Oi Kyuubi, care to lend a hand? I suppose I must, grunted the Bijou before he sent a bit of his chakra through the blonde's chakra network. Back in the real world, a red aura of chakra appeared around Naruto as he focused his power, causing Jiraiya to step back involuntarily. Said the Sannin, that might be going a bit far. Naruto didn't seem to hear him as he slammed his hand into the ground, causing the sealing array to spread forth from it, Kushios no Jutsu. There was a massive poof of smoke that filled the clearing, and when it cleared, Naruto and Jiraiya were standing on a massive dark red and black toad that towered over the trees in the forest. Said toad wore a grayish-blue vest with an elegant pipe in his mouth and a tanto at his waist, though said tanto was so large that it was more like a katana to him. This is awesome, exclaimed Naruto as the giant toad looked around the area he had been summoned in. Jiraiya, grunted the toad irritably as it looked around, why did you summon me here? What's going on? Actually, Mr. Toad, said Naruto, I was the one who summoned you. That's Chief Toad Game Abunda to you, Gaki, growled the massive toad, and what are you talking about? How could you be the one who summoned me? Bunta, said Jiraiya, the kid is telling the truth. He's the newest toad summoner. Eh? Grunted the now-named Game Abunta, you made some wet behind the ears Gaki the newest toad contractor? Bunta, said Jiraiya, cutting off an angry rant from his student about being called a wet behind the ears Gaki, he's not just some kid. He's Minato and Kushina's son. I also think he's the one the great toad sage was talking about. So you think he's the one? Muttered Game Abunta. Very well. He'll get the same initiation that his old man did. That sounds fair, said Jiraiya before he patted Naruto on the shoulder, good luck Gaki, you're gonna need it. The Sannin leapt off the head of the massive toad, leaving the slightly pensive blonde standing alone on said amphibian's head. So, what's this initiation? Asked Naruto hesitantly. Hey, said Bunta as he removed the pipe from his mouth and blew out a cloud of smoke before pocketing the item, your initiation is to remain on my head until the end of the day. That's it? Asked Naruto as he began channeling chakra to his feet like he learned to do in the tree climbing drills. That'll be easy. The chief toad simply smirked and crouched down, tensing his powerful leg muscles before taking off with a mighty leap, Naruto's surprised and terrified screams echoing through the forest as he clung to the head of the toad like his life depended on it, for it really did. Scene XX. Several hours later, after the sun had set behind the horizon, Bunta placed a tired and unconscious Naruto gently onto the ground in front of where Jiraiya was preparing a small meal over a fire. The blonde had managed to stick to the toad's head through the whole ordeal, but it had put a great strain on the boy, and while his connection with the Kyuubi was helping him recover, he was still going to be out cold for a while. The kid has spirit Jiraiya, grunted the chief toad, managed to stay on the entire time, no matter how difficult I made it for him. I take it the Gaki passed? Said Jiraiya with a smile. I suppose so, allowed Game Abunta, when he comes to, let him know that we'll be sealing the deal with the traditional drink the next time he summons me. I'll tell him, said Jiraiya with a nod. Good, said the toad before he vanished in a poof of smoke. Jiraiya smiled down at his student, grabbing a blanket and pulling it over Naruto's sleeping form so he'd stay warm. The boy was quite gifted, his massive amount of chakra coupled with his Rinnegan and the unusual accord he seemed to have with the Kyuubi sealed within him, meant that he could expect great things from his student, perhaps even surpassing that of his father, the Ondaime. Meanwhile, deep within the boy's mindscape, another powerful being was having similar thoughts about the blonde Uzumaki. He has a summoning contract now, mused the Kyuubi, used correctly, this could help the kid unlock yet another aspect of his power. The fox looked out into the darkness of the sewerscape that was Naruto's mindscape and remembered the man that had created him along with all of the other Bijou. It was nearing evening when Naruto and Jiraiya arrived at Danzaku Quarters, a town where the Toad Sage hoped to locate information on his former teammate. His spy network had told him she had been spotted in this area, and with any luck, they might be able to find out if she had passed through and where she had been headed. The two of them had been traveling for several days with minimal rest breaks, and Naruto was wondering just how far they'd have to go. So, this medic you're looking for, Jiraiya-sensei, said Naruto, is she here? Or is this another false lead? Well, first of all, said Jiraiya, the previous towns weren't false leads. I was contacting members of my spy network that were meeting us there. As for Tsunade, we're here to look into finding a lead on Tsunade's last known location. That's great and all, sighed Naruto, but I really want to grab something to eat and sit down, so can we find a ramen shop and take a break? I guess it wouldn't hurt, chuckled Jiraiya, we have been keeping up a rather quick pace. I'm not paying for you though. Not a problem, said Naruto as he held up his Gamuken wallet, I've got enough for my dinner. As if some higher power was messing with him, a strong breeze took that chance to knock the loosely held wallet out of his hand, causing it to fall to the ground and send a single Ryo coin bouncing across the road. Naruto quickly grabbed his frog-themed wallet and gave chase to the bouncing coin, following it into a building with people bustling around machines and tables as they relaxed. The coin came to a stop against one of the machines and Naruto picked it up with a sigh of relief. As he straightened up, he realized just where he had gone. He was in a casino, and the coin had rolled up to one of their mega jackpot machines. The blonde had only heard about them in passing and had always been curious as to why people would blow all of their hard-earned money trying to win more. Curiosity getting the better of him, Naruto placed the Ryo coin into the slot on the machine and pulled the lever, causing the slots to spin before aligning with 3 symbols. Suddenly bells began to go off and lights flashed as coins began to pour out of the machine, causing Naruto to jump back with a yip that alerted one of the workers. Is everything alright, kid? Asked the worker. I just pulled the lever, said Naruto, but I think I broke the machine. Broke the man trailed off before looking at the machine and chuckling, kid, you won the jackpot. Everything's fine. Really? Said Naruto in surprise, then all this money is mine? The man nodded and Naruto let it sink in for a bit. Can I get a bag? The man nodded and soon Naruto was walking out of the casino, several 100,000 Ryo richer, but unknown to him, one of the patrons of the casino was watching him, curious about the crazy luck he had had. I'm sorry but Full House beats 3 of a kind, said the dealer, causing the figure to look back at the card game they were playing and sigh at another consecutive win. Cashing out, the figure rose and moved to follow the teen, wondering if now would be a good time to head to the local restaurant for a few drinks. Scene XX You really shouldn't wander off, Naruto, sighed Jiraiya as they walked through the streets, though it looks like you had a good time. I just pulled a lever and all this money came out, said Naruto excitedly, just think of all the ramen I can buy. Jiraiya chucked as the blonde pulled out a sealing scroll. The Sannin had taken the liberty of sealing away the majority of the money his student had won so that it would be easier to travel with and harder to steal, though the blonde's wallet was looking fatter than ever. I guess that means you'll be paying for dinner tonight, he laughed, ribbing the teen a bit, but as Naruto began to retort, his attention was snagged by a commotion from a local bar, where he spotted a familiar face arguing with the bartender. I'm sorry ma'am, said the man, but I'm not allowed to give you any more sake until you pay off your outstanding tab from the past few nights. I'm telling you, said the woman in question, I'll pay it off. I just need some time in those casinos. I'm sorry, said the man again, but that's what you said last night and the night before that. Tell you what, said Jiraiya as he walked up and placed a hand on the woman's shoulder, causing her to tense up, I'll pay for her and for her tab. Will that be alright? The bartender nodded and walked off and the woman turned to give a wary look at the toad sage. So, what brings you out this way, Jiraiya? In fact, I was looking for a certain top-notch medic and teammate of mine, said Jiraiya. You haven't heard of anyone like that have you, Tsunade? Humph, said the now-named member of the Sannin, I should have known I'd be seeing you again, what with the luck I've been having. So, what brings you all the way out to Tanzaku? And you'd better not say research for your next book. Don't worry, said Jiraiya, I'm here on business, not pleasure. If you wouldn't mind joining me and my student for a drink, I'll tell you all about it. Very well, said Tsunade as she called her aide and student, Shizune, over and the two of them joined Naruto and Jiraiya at a booth. Now talk. What have you heard of the recent events in Konoha? Asked Jiraiya seriously as a waiter arrived and poured cups of sake for the adults present. Rumors mostly, said Tsunade, something about an incident involving the recent Chunin exams? Jiraiya nodded grimly. You might want to read this, he said as he pulled out a scroll marked with the cage's seal. If Hiruzen thinks that I'll just return to the village after all this, then he's gone senile, said Tsunade as she downed the sake in her cup and poured herself another. Just read it, said Jiraiya. Tsunade sighed and opened the scroll, skimming through its contents, nodding at several points and chuckling at another, but when she reached the end, her eyes widened and she gave her former teammate a hard look. You can't be serious. I am, said Jiraiya as he steepled his fingers and returned Tsunade's gaze while Naruto and Shizune looked on, confused and worried, respectively, and so is Sensei. The offer is genuine. What is the offer, Tsunade-sama? Asked Shizune. Yeah Jiraiya-sensei, said Naruto, What's the deal with that scroll? The Sundaime is offering to pay off any and all gambling debts that Tsunade has accumulated, said Jiraiya, with the condition being that she returns so she may take the position of interim Hokage and head medic at the Konoha hospital once her term is over. Hey wait, exclaimed Naruto, they're just giving her the position of Hokage? Interim Hokage, corrected Jiraiya, it would only be until the true successor is ready to take the hat. It doesn't matter, said Tsunade as she crossed her arms, I'm not going back. Besides, only a fool would want to become Hokage. Do you really hate the village so much? Asked Jiraiya, are you willing to sit back and watch it burn, simply because you don't want to help? You know my reasons, said Tsunade, and if you were in my place, wouldn't you feel the same? Jiraiya sighed, conceding her point, look, we don't have to decide anything tonight, but there is another reason we need you to come back with us. There was an attack on the village during the recent Chunin exams, and in the process of repelling the forces, Sensei was badly injured. He's been stabilized, but if he is to prepare a successor, then he'll need your medical skills. If anything, return to help with that. Tsunade sighed. While it was true she had many painful memories of the village due to people she had lost, she knew that she couldn't just stand by and let Hiruzen suffer. Even if she could not operate, she was still a doctor. Fine, said Tsunade, I'll return, but only to heal Sensei. I'm not making any promises about the position. Very well, said Jiraiya, if it suits you, we will leave for Konoha in the morning. Again, thank you for agreeing to return. Just remember, said Tsunade, I'm returning to help Sensei. Not to take his hat. Of course, said Jiraiya. Scene XX that night, Naruto was unable to relax enough to sleep. He couldn't help but feel disillusioned at Tsunade's attitude towards the position of Kage. After all, who wouldn't want to be the Hokage? The Hokage is the strongest shinobi and holds the respect of the entire village, so who wouldn't want any of that? Realizing he wasn't going to get any sleep, Naruto headed out to take a walk, only to find Tsunade sitting outside the hotel with a bottle of sake in her hand. Gaki, said the Sannin as she nodded in his direction, couldn't sleep? No, muttered Naruto, and you? Needed to drown in a bottle to get to sleep? Kid, sighed Tsunade, you have no idea what you're talking about. Things are rarely as simple as they seem, especially in the life of a shinobi. She sighed and took a drink from the bottle before turning to the newly minted Chunin with a serious look. You're upset on my declining the position of Hokage. Don't try to deny it, I saw your reactions when Jiraiya and I were talking. Why would you say that being Hokage is something only a fool would want to do? Demanded Naruto angrily. It's an honor to be selected and there is a proud legacy behind it. Everyone dreams of being the Hokage one day. See, that's the thing, said Tsunade. The world to you is a place where people can chase their dreams without worry and will one day catch them, but in reality, the world is a cruel place and dreamers are often killed long before those dreams can be realized. I learned this truth the hard way. You're not the only person I knew that was dead set on taking the hat. Heck, both of them were a lot like you in fact, but their dreams of becoming Hokage only saw them dying in the field before those dreams could be realized. You say being Hokage is a great honor? I say it is a painful burden, one that is too much for anyone to truly bear. Even the Sundaime is suffering now. I won't take the position. Not after what I've lost. Naruto was silent for a moment, but then he suddenly punched the wall, leaving a small crater in the wooden surface due to the force of the blow. No, he exclaimed, I don't believe that. The position of Kage isn't a burden, it is a privilege, and those who carry the title are the ones who the village trusts to lead them to prosperity. I'm going to be Hokage one day, and that's the kind of Kage I'll be. One that leads the people with strength and kindness, and I won't let anything stand in my way, not even the Shinigami himself. I don't care what you say, I'm going to prove you wrong. Dadabayo. Dan, Nawaki. Thought Tsunade as she remembered two others who had shared Naruto's beliefs. You seem rather confident for a wet behind the ears Gaki. Tell you what, let's make a wager on it. In the time between now and our arrival at Konoha, if you can prove to me that I'm wrong, that the position of Kage is a badge of honor and not a burden of fools, then I'll take the job. If not, then as soon as I head Sensei, I'm leaving. And I won't be coming back. The blonde Jinchuriki turned to face the slug Sannin and looked her square in the eyes, extending his hand out. Deal. Tsunade nodded and the two clasped hands, sealing the arrangement and unknowingly laying the foundation for a new beginning that was yet to come. Scene XX the next morning, the group had packed up and had just left Danzaku, when several shinobi wearing Otogaku or Hitachi appeared in puffs of smoke, led by a man with silver hair that wore a pair of glasses. Greetings, Tsunadesumi, said the man with a smile. My name is Kabuto, and I am here to offer an exchange on behalf of my master." "Your master?" asked Tsunade with a raised eyebrow. "Yes," said Kabuto as the Atonin laid out a set of summoning scrolls similar to the ones used in the Chunin exams. Making several hand seals, Kabuto caused a large poof of smoke to appear on the scroll, which cleared to reveal a familiar face. His body was covered in bandages at random places, and metal braces seemed to be attached to his chest and back, while a respirator mask was affixed to his face, allowing him to take rasping breaths. While it was obvious he was badly injured, there was no mistaking his identity. "Orochimaru." "Orochimaru," growled Jiraiya, "you have a lot of nerve showing your face after what you pulled." "Jiraiya," rasped the Snake Sannin, "I should have known I'd find you here. Still, I have no business with you, rather, with our former teammate." Orochimaru's gaze slid over to Tsunade, causing the Slug Princess's eyes to narrow as she stepped forward, her body tensing in preparation for a fight. "What do you want with me?" asked Tsunade as she eyed their treacherous teammate warily. "As you can probably surmise," said the Snake Sannin, as coughed through his respirator, "I am in the need of a medic, and I have been looking for the best." "Really?" deadpanned Tsunade before scoffing, "You think that I'll just help you after all this time? Sorry, but I'm retired." "Tough break. Is that so?" smirked Orochimaru, before being cut off by a series of coughs that left him wheezing into his respirator. "Really?" he said again as he collected himself. "Then why does it seem that you are heading back to Konoha to treat our dear sensei? You seem to know quite a bit," said Tsunade with a frown, curious considering that you were not present for our discussion. "You must have ears everywhere." "That is neither here nor there," said Orochimaru with a smirk, "but my question is still unanswered." "You're really in no position to ask about that," spat Jiraiya coldly, "especially since you're the one that injured him." "Really?" said Tsunade as she raised her eyebrow, "I had assumed as much, and you really have the gall to ask me to heal you after this?" "Tsunade," said Orochimaru, "I am hurt that you would think I would ask this of you without offering something in return. I know you do not work for free after all. And what could you possibly offer me?" scowled Tsunade. "I doubt you have the money to meet my prices." "White Tsunade," rasped Orochimaru as he smiled behind his mask, "I would offer you the thing you want most of all. I would offer to bring back Dan and Nawaki from the dead." "Oi Kyubi," Naruto asked his tenant, "is something like that really possible?" "It's uncommon, but not impossible," the fox replied. "I recall the Nidaime created a jutsu that required a human sacrifice in order to retrieve a soul from the pure world, but that soul would be forced to exist in an unliving artificial form. The only person that had a technique that could perform a complete resurrection was the Rikudo Sennin using his Rinnegan, and the jutsu was nearly too much for him whenever he used it." "So you really did it," scowled Tsunade. "You mastered the Edo Tensei that the Nidaime created." "Indeed," said Orochimaru, "if you heal me, I shall use my power to bring back your loved ones." "You can't do that for him," yelled Naruto. "Shut up Gaki," snapped Tsunade, bringing Naruto up short. "Yes, to be quiet Naruto," sneered Orochimaru, "don't interfere with things you do not understand." "Oh I understand," said Naruto, "you want her to heal the injuries you received fighting the Sun Daime so you can attack Konoha again, and in exchange you'll sacrifice 2 lives to bring her loved ones back to an incomplete existence in an unliving body. You can't think that that's a fair trade." "You seem to know more than expected," drawled Kabuto, "but the decision isn't yours to make." "Regardless," said Shizune, "Tsunade-sama, you know Dan and Nawaki would never want something like this. They love Konoha and wouldn't want to live at this cost. Come on. We can take them together." Tsunade's apprentice rolled up her sleeves to reveal a hidden senbone launcher. Pulling the string on said device, she shot several poison needles at the injured Sannin, hoping to end things, but Kabuto quickly moved between them and deflected the weapons with a hand coated in glowing blue chakra. He then moved to use said hand to sever Shizune's carotid artery, but a firm hand caught his wrist in an iron grip. "Enough," growled Tsunade, "I'll make my decision without any of this, thank you." Tossing Kabuto aside, the slug Sannin turned to face her treacherous teammate, Orochimaru. "Say I do heal you, what would you do then? Would you turn your sights on Konoha again?" "White Tsunade, I'm surprised at your reaction," said Orochimaru, "I thought you hated the village. Wouldn't you be happier if all remnants of your painful history there were erased? Or are you developing an attachment for the place? Just answer the question," growled Tsunade. "Oh?" smirked Orochimaru, "and if I said I would take revenge on the people responsible for my current state? What would you say then?" "I would say that that is just like you," said Tsunade with a scowl, "you're nothing but a despicable monster. I will have no part in your recovery, my oath as a medic be damned." A pity, rasped Orochimaru, Kabuto. The Sanin's lieutenant rushed forward, landing a surprise kick that stunned Shizune long enough to get close to Tsunade, but as the slug Sanin reared back her fist to cave the man's skull in, the Atonin threw a small capsule in her face that shattered and splashed a crimson liquid onto her, causing her to freeze with a horrified look on her face. "Tsunade-sama!" cried out Shizune as Kabuto ruthlessly kicked the paralyzed Sanin aside. "Damn it," growled Jiraiya. "What's going on, sensei?" asked Naruto. "Why did she freeze like that?" "There's a reason Tsunade left Konoha's active shinobi forces," said Jiraiya grimly. "Due to the traumatic deaths of her loved ones, she was diagnosed with hemophobia, a crippling fear of blood. I'm afraid she won't be of much use in this fight." Turning to face Orochimaru, Jiraiya quickly assessed the situation. He knew his former teammate was still recovering from his fight against his sensei, but that didn't make him any less of a threat. After all, a wounded snake still has the ability to bite. While he was confident in his ability to handle Orochimaru, he wasn't confident in doing so while keeping Kabuto out of his hair at the same time. "Shizune," said Jiraiya, "deal with Kabuto and keep him busy while I settle things with Orochimaru." Naruto, back Shizune up but prioritize keeping Tsunade safe. "Don't underestimate Kabuto, he's quite possibly the most dangerous opponent you've faced so far." "Right," said Shizune and Naruto as the three of them faced off against their opponents. "Humph," scoffed Orochimaru, "you've never been able to defeat me alone, Jiraiya, and that won't change now." "We'll see about that," said Jiraiya as he blurred through several hand seals, Katen, Enden. Jiraiya gathered oil in his mouth and ignited it as he spat at Orochimaru in the form of a massive fireball that engulfed the Sanin, giving Naruto and Shizune the opening they needed to dash over to Kabuto and engage him in combat. But when the flames cleared away, all that was left was the hardened remains of a mud clone. Jiraiya's senses then flared and he ducked down, just managing to avoid losing his head to a swing from Orochimaru's sword of Kusanagi, throwing a mule kick in retaliation that unfortunately only struck the metal braces on the Sanin's front, doing minimal damage, though it did force them apart. "Sinai Tadashu," yelled Orochimaru as he sent a large number of venomous snakes at Jiraiya from under his sleeves, forcing the Sanin to jump out of the way. "Got you." Orochimaru smirked as he thrust his sword at Jiraiya, causing the blade to extend and impale the Toad Sage. Orochimaru's success was short-lived though, as Jiraiya's body vanished in a poof of smoke, revealing it to have been a cage bunshine he had substituted with. Reappearing behind his opponent, Jiraiya threw a kunai at the back of his head, but the snake Sanin proved that he still had enough of his reflexes to spin around and slice the kunai in two with his sword, letting the two halves fly past him harmlessly. Not relenting on the attack, Jiraiya threw several shuriken and made a hand seal as they flew toward the snake Sanin. Shuriken Cage Bunshine no Jutsu. 5 shuriken quickly became 1,000 that streaked toward the snake Sanin, but Orochimaru simply substituted with a log, before reappearing and sending snakes at Jiraiya from his sleeves once again. The Toad Sage quickly weaved hand seals and spat out another fireball that incinerated the incoming snakes, but Orochimaru smirked, as he had been waiting for an opportunity like this. "Futon, Datappa," said Orochimaru as he breathed out a massive gale that caught the flames Jiraiya had spat out, and not only amplified them, but redirected them back at the sage, forcing him to have to act quickly to keep from being incinerated. Creating a cage bunshine, Jiraiya and his copy weaved through hand seals as fast as they could as the flames loomed closer. "Suiten, Mijdepo," yelled Jiraiya as he spat out a blast of water that combined with a blast of wind his cage bunshine blew out, creating a waterspout that slammed into Orochimaru's fireball, creating a thick cloud of steam that obscured the two combatants. While this was happening, Kabuto was proving that he was more than a match for Shizune and Naruto in terms of combat. The blonde created several cage bunshine that attacked the silver-haired Atonin with the Tanto Kakashi had given Naruto, coating the blade with Futon Chakra for added power, but Kabuto simply coated his hands in razor-sharp scalpels made of chakra and effortlessly sliced through the numerous copies before delivering a back kick to Shizune's gut as she tried to attack from behind. The medic didn't let that stop her and made a hand seal before spitting out a large cloud of poison gas that enveloped Kabuto as Naruto jumped clear, though some of his clones didn't make it and dispelled as the lethal poisons took hold. Kabuto was forced to hold his breath as he leapt free of the cloud, but in doing so, left himself open for an attack from Naruto, the blonde taking the initiative to fire a concentrated Suiten, Depodama at him that slammed into his chest and sent the Atonin tumbling across the grass. "Katen, Gokaku no Jutsu," yelled Naruto as he weaved several hand seals. Bringing his hands to his mouth, the blonde breathed out a powerful stream of fire that rushed at the silver-haired shinobi, burning a path across the grassy field as it streaked towards him. Undeterred, the right-hand man of Orochimaru blurred through several hand seals and channeled chakra to his lungs. Futon, Datappa, yelled Kabuto as he exhaled a massive gale that caught the flames that Naruto had created and enhanced them into a massive inferno, and the force of the wind changed the direction of said inferno and sent it back toward the blonde Chunin. "Crap!" exclaimed Naruto as he created several Kage Bunshin and had them throw him out of the path of the flames. Kabuto rushed forward as Naruto touched down, intending to catch the blonde off balance as he aimed a chakra scalpel at the boy's heart, but was stopped when Shizune moved into his path and simultaneously slammed a palm strike into his chest and stabbed 3 senbon into his arm. Kabuto staggered back as he felt a burning sensation quickly spread through his arm. "Poison," he spat out, "a cute trick, but it's futile." Clenching his fist, his arm was enveloped in an aura of chakra and the pain in his arm faded. "I'm a Medicnan too," he smirked, "meaning I've learned to channel chakra through my cells to burn off most poisons and heal the damage done." Kabuto made to rush at her, but for some reason, his movements were stiff and clumsy, allowing one of Naruto's to almost clip him with an attack, before he dispelled it with a counter-strike to the neck. "You didn't think that my only skill was with poison," said Shizune, using a technique derived from the Juukan. "I set a pulse of my chakra into your nervous system, scrambling the signals they receive from the brain." "You're mine," yelled Naruto as he threw a futon chakra-coated kunai at Kabuto. The kunai struck home, but Kabuto substituted with a log and sent a burst of chakra through his body to purge Shizune's from his system. Using a Shunshin, Kabuto moved in close to the Medicnan and, before she could react, severed the tendons in her arms and legs with a few well-placed strikes with his chakra scalpels, causing her to crumple to the ground. "Pathetic," sneered Kabuto, "and you call yourself a Medicnan? You can't even save yourself." As Kabuto raised a chakra scalpel, ready to slice through Shizune's neck, Naruto tried to pull himself to his feet, feeling rather helpless, as Kabuto had countered any and all attacks that he had thrown at him, and now Shizune was about to die because of it. "Humph," said the Kyuubi from within the seal, "you think that you fight alone? After all this time, you forget that I am here to support you?" Suddenly, Naruto found himself in the sewer environment of his mindscape with the Kyuubi no Kitsune looming over him from behind the bars of his seal/cage. "What are you doing?" exclaimed Naruto. "I need to help her." "Do not worry, Ningen," said the Kyuubi, "in your mindscape, time passes differently than in the real world." "What do you want then?" asked Naruto, "and make it quick." "Such impudence," scoffed the massive fox, "but as I said, you do not fight alone here. If you so desire, I can help you win." "Really?" asked Naruto skeptically, "and what would you want in exchange? Why would you help me? What's in it for you?" "Humph," growled the Kyuubi, "you and your kind only know me from stories. I am not offering this in exchange for something of yours, rather, I have an interest in your survival." "Really?" said Naruto in surprise. "Why?" "Before you ask, this has nothing to do with the seal," said the Kyuubi, "rather, it's a debt I owe to your parents." "My parents?" said Naruto in surprise, "you knew them?" "Do not look so surprised," said the Kyuubi with a small smile, "your mother was my Jinchuriki before you, and contrary to popular belief, we were actually on amicable terms." "Then why did you attack?" asked Naruto as his voice caught a little. "Why did you kill them?" "I was controlled," growled the Kyuubi softly, "a man with the Sharingan, a man that called himself Madara. He ripped me from your mother's seal and placed a powerful genjutsu on me that robbed me of my senses and sent me into a blind rage that was directed against Konoha. He is the true reason for the attack, for your parents' sacrifice." The Kyuubi lowered its head so that it was eye level with the blonde. "It was because of him that I killed them in my rage. When I awoke, I was sealed within you. At first, I hated all of this, but then you developed the eyes of my father, the Rikudo Sennin, and I began to believe that you could be the one he prophesized, the one that would change the shinobi world for the better, and so I have lent you my power, wanting to see if this was true." "So, Ningen," asked the Kyuubi, "I ask again, do you want my power?" Naruto closed his eyes as he digested all that the fox had said, the massive revelation that the Kyuubi no Kitsune was actually not the monster the world believed him to be, the fact that he had been on good terms with his parents. Understanding all of that, he nodded to himself, his resolve strengthened with the will to protect. "Do it," said the blonde Jinchuriki, causing the Kyuubi to smile. Scene XX Kabuto's hand stopped mid-strike as a powerful wave of chakra and killing intent washed over him, disrupting his focus and causing his chakra scalpel to dissipate. "Impossible," said Kabuto as he looked toward his other opponent to see the blonde Chunin rising to his feet as a cloak of bubbling orange chakra cloaked the teen in a protective shell that resembled a three-tailed fox. Naruto let out a roar as his teeth and nails sharpened, releasing a blast of wind that sent Kabuto sprawling back and knocked Shizune out of the battlefield. "You ready for Eyes? 'Cause it's time for round 2 Dedobayo." Kabuto wasn't given much time to react as Naruto shot at him in a blur, the only keeping the blonde's fist from caving in his ribcage being a quickly executed Kawarimi that replaced him with a log that was promptly reduced to splinters. Kabuto reappeared behind the blonde with a kunai in his hand, throwing it at the blonde with a quick movement. Naruto didn't let up the assault despite this, and moved to strike at Kabuto again, closing the distance between them in an orange blur, dodging the weapon and smashing another log to bits as Kabuto was forced to use another Kawarimi to avoid getting a fractured skull from Naruto's chakra-coated fist. Forming a cage bunshine to distract the Jinchuriki, Kabuto used Shunshine to get behind the blonde, forming chakra scalpels on his hands and attempted to slice through the chakra cloak and sever the blonde's spinal cord. But the cloak of Baijuu chakra protected its user, leaving Naruto with only a flesh wound, while burning the skin on the medic's hands as well due to the chakra cloak's caustic nature, forcing him to fall back. "So," said Kabuto as he healed his hands with his medical ninjutsu, a green glow covering the burned skin as the wounds mended themselves. "I see you're resorting to using the fox's power. Too bad it won't help. Suten, Suita no Jutsu." The Atonin gathered chakra in his stomach and spat out a torrent of water that streaked across the ground, tearing a trench into the dirt as it shot towards his opponent, but as the attack got close, Naruto blurred out of the way, showing great speed as he appeared next to the silver-haired medic. Kabuto then had to leap back to avoid a spinning back kick the Jinchuriki snapped out in retaliation before throwing several kunai with explosive tags tied to them at him, forced the blonde back, but Naruto simply pointed his hand at the silver-haired Atonin with a smirk forming on his face and the Rinnegan on full display in his eyes. "Shinra Tensei!" growled the Jinchuriki, sending a wave of force out from his hands that seemed to ripple through the air as it deflected the kunai before slamming into Kabuto, sending him flying across the ground before coming to a stop when he hit a boulder that stuck up out of the ground. "He's actually giving me trouble." Kabuto growled mentally as he channeled chakra to the injured parts of his body to speed healing while making several more hand seals. "Suten, Mijdepo." The Atonin spat out a high-pressure stream of water that streaked toward Naruto, but the Jinchuriki created a quick Rasengan in his right hand using his chakra cloak to contain the spiraling chakra sphere, slamming it into the oncoming stream of water, causing an explosion that shrouded the blonde in a thick mist. A beat passed, and a Fuma Shuriken flew out at Kabuto, the mist being blown away by its velocity, forcing the auto-medic to twist his body and dodge the spinning blade. "Banshu Tenin," said Naruto as he extended a clawed hand toward the shuriken, causing it to curve around in its flight path and fly back at Kabuto from behind, slicing through his shoulder before transforming into a cage bunshine with a poof of smoke, said bunshine slamming a punch into the surprised Kabuto's face, breaking his nose, while unfortunately taking a strike from the medic's chakra scalpel at the same time, dispelling the bunshine. Kabuto quickly stemmed the bleeding wound on his arm with a quick application of the Shozen Jutsu before applying a quick fix to his bleeding nose, but that brief pause was what Naruto needed to weave several more hand seals and spit out several water blasts that flew at Kabuto. "Suten Teppo Dama. Doten, Doryuaki," Kabuto yelled in response as he slammed his hands onto the ground, causing a thick wall of stone to rise up and block the water blasts. The wall held firm, as the blasts exploded against it, but that wasn't all the blonde had to throw at him. "Rasengan," yelled Naruto as he smashed through the wall with another spiraling sphere of chakra, surprising Kabuto with the suddenness, but not enough to keep the medic from impaling the blonde with a chakra scalpel that caused him to vanish in a poof of smoke, revealing that Naruto had swapped with a cage bunshine. Suddenly, Naruto burst out of the ground behind Kabuto and slammed a kick into him that sent him crashing through the remains of the wall he had erected. "Damn it," swore Kabuto as he climbed to his feet, and, "He's fast, and with his stamina I won't be able to outlast him. I can heal from any damage he deals to me, but even that has limits and the fox's chakra is protecting him. I need to think up a strategy." Naruto didn't seem to be willing to let him though as he lunged forward, expanding his chakra cloak to create large claws around his hands which he used to attack the silver-haired Atonin. Kabuto was forced to call upon every bit of his agility and expertise to avoid being vivisected by the blonde's furious attacks, only escaping the onslaught by using a quick substitution with a cage bunshine to give him the time to shoot a fireball from his mouth at the blonde's back, the explosion knocking Naruto across the ground. Kabuto quickly put some plans together in his head before reaching into his weapon pouch to pull out some shuriken. Whipping his hand forward, he threw the shuriken forward before making a hand seal, causing the dozen stars to become 100, shuriken cage bunshine no jutsu. Seeing the large amount of shuriken flying at him, Naruto pointed his hand at the weapons as his Rinnegan blazed on his eyes and repeated the defense he had used before, Shinra Tensei. Naruto released another blast of force that slammed into the shuriken, knocking them out of the air, but Kabuto had planned for this and braced himself while sticking to the ground with chakra as he shielded his face. Once the wave passed, he weaved several more hand seals while kneading chakra in his stomach, Suten, Suita no Jutsu. Naruto tried to cast his jutsu again, but was surprised when nothing happened, leaving him open as the blast of water slammed into him, sending him skidding across the ground with several tears on his outfit and cuts that closed up quickly thanks to the Kyuubi's influence. "Ha," laughed Kabuto as he made more hand seals, "I thought so. You're still wet behind the ears, brat. You're out of your league." Naruto growled, but the Kyuubi's voice in his mindscape kept him grounded. "Don't let him get to you. Focus on the battle and keep a level head." "Right," said Naruto as he made a familiar hand seal, Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu. Several dozen copies of the blonde appeared, all of them sporting chakra cloaks, and charged the Atonin, forcing him to create chakra scalpels as he fought off the small army with well-placed kicks and slashes, dispelling several, before breathing out a compressed air blade that whipped across the area, dispelling the rest of the Kage Bunshin. "Nice try," said Kabuto, but the smirk on the blonde's face halted the rest of his remark. "Kanbai Jutsu," said Naruto as he pointed to the ground under Kabuto's feet, "Daifunka." "What?" exclaimed Kabuto before trying to leap away as the ground beneath his feet exploded and fire shot upwards. His reflexes had saved his life, but he had several severe burns. As he glanced at where he had stood, he saw the smoke from several Kage Bunshin drifting away and he knew what the blonde had done. "He had several Kage Bunshin tunnel into the earth when I was distracted with the initial swarm," thought Kabuto in shock. The brat probably had them use a Gokakyu no Jutsu to cause that eruption once they were in place. "How the hell did you get so smart?" growled Kabuto. "All the records said you were the dead last of your year, barely scraping by with a graduating score." "I'm a shinobi dumbass," scoffed Naruto. "Underhanded tactics and misdirection is our life. Why wouldn't I be able to hide my true potential all these years?" Kabuto scowled, but before he could respond, he felt a build-up of chakra coming from that battle between his master and the Toad Sage, indicative of a summoning technique, prompting him to use a quick shunshine to rush to Orochimaru's side, quickly swiping some of his blood across a seal tattoo on both Orochimaru's arm before making a hand seal. "Kushios no Jutsu," yelled the combatants, with Kabuto performing the jutsu in place of his master. The battlefield was then engulfed in a large explosion of smoke, and when it cleared, it was apparent to all involved that things had been taken to a whole new level. Facing off across each other, the two Sannin were standing upon their signature battle summon, with Jiraiya standing atop the Chief Toad, Gamabunta's head, and Orochimaru atop the massive Snake Lord, Manda's head. "Jiraiya," growled Gamabunta, "you sure picked a hell of a mess to summon me into." "Sorry Bunta," said Jiraiya as he kept his glare focused on Orochimaru, "but I need your help to put my former teammate in his place." "Humph," said the boss summon as he breathed out a cloud of smoke and took his pipe from his mouth. "It's about time we dealt with him, though I am surprised Katsuyu-san isn't here as well. Unfortunately, Tsunade has been otherwise incapacitated by our treacherous teammate," said the Toad Sage with a frown. "We're on our own for this one." "Humph," grunted Gamabunta as he reached for his sword, "this is gonna be a tough one, but I'll be glad to get a new snakeskin wallet." Meanwhile, Orochimaru and Kabuto were having a conversation with their own with the boss summon they had themselves summoned. "Orochimaru," growled Manda, the boss summon of the snakes, "you'd better have a lot of sacrifices prepared to pay for summoning me here." "Forgive us, Manda-sama," said Kabuto, "but we required your aid to deal with the Toad Sage and his allies." "Silence, whelp," snarled Manda, "know your place beneath your betters." Kabuto winced, knowing that if Manda knew that Orochimaru was not the one who summoned him due to the seal Jiraiya placed on him scrambling his chakra control, then the boss summon would kill them both. "Manda," said Orochimaru, "if you would aid us in this fight, then I offer Jiraiya and his allies as the first of many sacrifices in your name." "Very well," said Manda, "I always like an opportunity to eat that toad anyway." With a hissing snarl, Manda lunged forward, mouth wide and fangs bared as he aimed to tear a chunk out of Gamabunta's body, but the boss toad leapt up into the air to avoid, while at the same time, gathering oil in his stomach that he shot from his mouth, with Jiraiya releasing a Katen jutsu that ignited said oil into a burning wave. Seeing the blazing tide bearing down on them, the two Atonin made quick several hand seals and gathered chakra in their lungs, breathing out a massive gale of wind that impacted the burning oil and deflected it from incinerating them. instead causing the burning liquid to splatter across the grassy field. Jiraiya cursed as he saw this and called out to Naruto to keep Tsunade safe, prompting the blonde to nod and create several Kage Bunshine to help carry the slug princess out of harm's way, leaving the two Sannin to their battle. Seeing that his opponent's attention was divided, Orochimaru began to weave several hand seals and channel chakra to his lungs, while Kabuto did the same from his spot next to him on Manda's head, as he gathered chakra in his stomach. Suten, Suita no Jutsu. Futon, Daitapa. The two attacks merged into a massive twisting torrent that shot at Jiraiya and Gamabunta, but the boss Toad showed his strength by leaping high into the air to avoid the blast, while gathering chakra of his own. Suten, Tepodama, yelled Gamabunta as he spat several large blasts of water at the two Atonin in their summon. Unlike when Naruto used the technique earlier, these blasts were massive and exploded against the ground upon impact, tearing craters into the earth as Manda used his nimble serpentine body to dodge out of the way, before coiling himself and shooting upward with the intent to swallow Gamabunta whole. The Chief Toad reacted quickly, drawing his blade and swinging it at the incoming serpent, catching it in the fang and knocking him back to the ground as Gamabunta landed in a crouch as well. "Damn you stupid toad!" snarled Manda as he ran his forked tongue over his now chipped fang. "I will enjoy making you suffer." "Promises, promises," taunted Gamabunta as he sprung into the air again to dodge another collaboration jutsu from Orochimaru and Kabuto. Naruto watched all of this as his Kage Bunshine kept Tsunade and her apprentice safe from harm, and he couldn't help but wish he could help out in some way, so that the odds wouldn't be 3 versus 2. "You can help, you know," said Kurama, "but it will require the rest of the chakra I've managed to grant you." Naruto nodded, resolved to help his teacher, and began channeling all of the remaining Baijua chakra that he had as he went through the hand seals Jiraiya had taught him when he signed the Toad contract. "Kushios no Jutsu," yelled Naruto as he bit his finger to draw blood and slammed his hand into the ground, causing the summoning array to form as a massive cloud of smoke erupted around him. "What?" said Jiraiya in surprise. "Impossible," breathed Kabuto. "Naruto-kun," smirked Orochimaru, "perhaps I should be keeping a closer eye on your progress. Considering you survived today, that is." As the smoke cleared, a somewhat winded Naruto was seen standing atop the head of a magenta-colored toad that stood as tall as Gamabunta and held a spiked Sasumata in its hand had a shield strapped to its back. Said the toad, "this seems like quite the situation I have been summoned into." "Sorry Toad-sama," said Naruto from his spot, "but we need to back up Chief Toad and Jiraiya-sensei." "Ah, so you are the student we've been hearing about," said the toad. "I shall help as much as I can, though I am rather ungraceful." "Don't worry," said Naruto, "together we can do this." Nodded the toad as he pulled out his shield. "Very well. Gamaken of Mount Myaboku shall fight at your side as best I can." "Right," said Naruto, "and since you've told me yours, my name's Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha. Let's do this." As the smoke cleared from Naruto's summoning, Orochimaru couldn't help but feel a small amount of concern as he faced down the two massive toad summons, one of them being the boss toad himself. The fact that the blonde brat housing the Kyuubi had proved not to be just a mere annoyance and had summoned the second toad was not making him feel any better. Jiraiya he could take, even with Gamabunta summoned, but a 2-against-1 fight like this, especially with his chakra still partially sealed in his current injuries. This would be tricky. "Orochimaru," growled Manda from beneath the Sannin's feet, "you'd better be able to pay my tribute in double if you expect me to take on 2 toads." "Of course Lord Manda," rasped Orochimaru as he faced down Jiraiya and his student. "It will be done." "Naruto," said Jiraiya to his student as the combatants prepared to move, "while I'm impressed that you summoned Gamaken, Orochimaru is an enemy beyond anything you've faced before, so stick close and be careful." "Right," said Naruto. "How touching," sneered Orochimaru, "but the end result will be the same." "Kabuto." "Hi, Orochimaru-sama," said Orochimaru's right hand as he made several hand seals. "Suten, Mishdepo." Gamabunta jumped into the air to avoid a blast of pressurized water that the Atonin shot from his mouth, with Gamaken opting to use his shield to guard against the attack, keeping him and his summoner safe as both Naruto and Jiraiya weaved hand signs of their own. "Kaden, Gamayuenden," yelled Jiraiya as he breathed out a gout of flame that ignited a stream of toad oil that Gamabunta spat from his mouth, creating a blazing wave of burning oil that shot at the snake Sannin and Manda. The boss summon tried to escape to safety as his riders leapt away and used Sunshine to escape, but 4 stone monoliths rose up around him and shot bolts of lightning that shocked the massive snake, keeping him trapped. "Raiten, Shichu Shibari," yelled Naruto as he maintained the technique, trapping Manda long enough for Jiraiya's wave of burning oil to crash down on the snake summon. As flames engulfed the boss summon's form, Orochimaru leapt toward the descending Gamabunta and nimbly dodged a swing from the Toad Sword, running across the blade's flat side to get to Bunta's head where his former teammate was waiting. "Sinai Jashu," yelled Orochimaru as he summoned several venomous snakes from his sleeve and sent them flying at Jiraiya, but the Toad Sage countered by extending his hair and hardening the locks into razor-sharp iron spikes with his chakra and wrapping it protectively around his body, causing the snakes to be impaled on the spikes as they struck him. "Ninpo," said Jiraiya from the protective cocoon, "Hari Jizo." Retracting the cocoon, Jiraiya whipped his hardened mane forward, launching a barrage of razor-sharp hair needles at the snake Sanin, Hari Jikoku. Orochimaru leapt back to avoid the attack, leaping off Gamabunta to land atop Manda's head as the snake summon shot out of the earth, having shed his skin to escape the inferno that Jiraiya had thrown at him. But before he could move, Gamaken leapt down behind the massive serpent and stabbed his Sasumata into the ground, pinning the snake's tail under his weapon spokes as Gamabunta swung his blade down at Manda's head. The snake summon twisted his body to avoid the slash and managed to grab the blade with his mighty jaws, ripping it from Gamabunta's grip and hurling it at Gamaken's Sasumata, knocking it and the sword away from their wielders, and giving the colossal serpent the opening it needed to lunge at Gamaken and his summoner. Upon seeing the massive serpent rapidly approaching, Gamaken raised his shield in an attempt to protect him and Naruto. But the blonde Jinchuriki was more than capable of defending himself as he pointed his hands at the colossal serpent, his Rinnegan blazing in his eyes. "Shinra Tensei," yelled Naruto as he shot out a wave of force that slammed into Manda, sending him sprawling across the dirt, with Orochimaru leaping off as Kabuto leapt up from the ground to land on Gamaken's head with a chakra scalpel ready. No longer having his Baijiu cloak to protect him, Naruto was forced to jump back, barely dodging a swipe from Kabuto that tore a slash across the front of his outfit, leaving him with a shallow cut across his chest, as he quickly drew his Tondo from its sheath and breathed out Futon Chakra onto the blade, forming a scimitar-like weapon. Naruto then went on the offensive, attacking Kabuto with his new weapon, but his inexperience using such a weapon began to show as the Atonin was able to weave around his wild slashes, forcing Naruto back onto the defensive as he received several more cuts across his body as he dodged strikes from Kabuto's chakra scalpels. Thinking quickly, Naruto weaved several hand seals as Kabuto moved in for the kill, channeling chakra into his lungs in preparation for his next attack. "Futon, Toppa," yelled Naruto as he breathed out a blast of wind that sent the Atonin flying off of Gamaken's head. But Naruto wasn't done as he weaved more hand seals, preparing to use his next jutsu. "Kaden, Gokaku no Jutsu," yelled Naruto as he breathed out large fireball that grew in size as it mixed with the remnants of his previous Futon Jutsu and flew at Kabuto, forcing Orochimaru's right hand to perform a quick substitution that allowed him to escape with minor burns from the attack. While this had been happening, Orochimaru and Manda had gone back on the offensive, attacking Jiraiya and the still as of yet disarmed Gamabunta. Manda was keeping his fellow boss summon on his toes so to speak as he lunged forward, snapping at the Toad summon, forcing Bunta to leap into the air to put distance between them, but Orochimaru planned for that and quickly weaved hand seals before shooting a bolt of lightning from his hands. "Raiden, John." Jiraiya had been weaving hand seals and slammed his hands into his stomach as the bolt of lightning shot at him, launching a blast of compressed air that slammed into the lightning bolt, detonating it in an explosion that nullified the attack. "Futon, Rinkudan." Gamabunta was quick to follow up on the opening Jiraiya had just created for them, spitting out a wave of viscous syrup from his mouth that covered a large portion of the ground around Manda, slowing the giant serpent's movements as its body got caught up in the sticky liquid. Acting together with Gamabunta, Jiraiya weaved several hand seals as Gamabunta spat more oil onto Manda's slowed form while Orochimaru leapt away to safety, the Toad Sage's hands becoming a blur of motion, before blowing out a cloud of gray ash that obscured the boss snake before clicking his teeth, creating a spark that ignited the ash, creating an explosion that was augmented by the flames igniting the oil coating Manda's body. This gave Gamabunta enough time to land and grab his blade while Manda was again forced to shed his skin to escape the blazing inferno, though because of this the colossal serpent didn't have much time to react as Gamabunta brought his blade down on the snake, impaling Manda through the mouth, nailing him to the ground. "Damn it," rasped Orochimaru, "Kabuto, to me." "Not so fast," growled Jiraiya as he appeared next to Orochimaru via Sunshine, a Rasengan charged and ready. Rasengan. The spiraling chakra sphere slammed into the treacherous Sanin, sending him flying across the ground before coming to a stop as he slammed into a boulder, creating a spiderweb of cracks across the stone surface. "Orochimaru-sama," exclaimed Kabuto from where he was combating Naruto, before delivering a powerful kick to the blonde that sent him tumbling aside and utilizing a shunshine to dodge a swing from Gamaken's Sasumata and to close the distance between him and his master. "I'll get you to safety," said Kabuto before making several quick hand seals, Kushios no Jutsu. A large serpent appeared in a poof of smoke and promptly wrapped itself around the two Atonin, before vanishing again in yet another poof of smoke, taking the two humans with it. Breathing a sigh of relief, Jiraiya went to check on Tsunade and Shizune, with the two Battletoads puffing away as well as they undid their summoning. Shizune was in bad shape, but it looked like she would pull through due to her doing some emergency self-treatment via her medical ninjutsu skill. Tsunade, however, was in a bad way, her body frozen and her eyes vacant as she trembled due to the blood on her hemophobia in full effect. "Damn it," swore Jiraiya as Naruto limped over, obviously drained, and low on chakra from his fight with Kabuto. "This is not how I planned things going." Turning to Naruto as he heaved Tsunade onto his back, not even trying to cop a feel, partially because he knew Tsunade would castrate him with a dull rusty spoon if he did, he handed his student a soldier pill and took one for himself. "Go help Shizune. We need to get back to town. We've got a ways to go to get back to Konoha." When Tsunade came to, she quickly realized that she was lying in a hospital bed, and from the feel of the sheets and the crisp smell of disinfectant and plants, she realized she was back in Konoha. Growling, she made to sit up, but a voice made her stop. "It's good to see you again, Tsunade." "Sensei?" said the slug princess as she turned to the voice, but as she beheld her former teacher, her words caught in her throat. "Sensei, what happened to your arm?" "Orochimaru's handiwork," said Hiruzen solemnly, "and one of the reasons I asked you to return." "Asked," said Tsunade pointedly, "or sent Jiraiya to collect me?" "Regardless," said Hiruzen as he pressed on, "I have pressing matters to speak with both you and Jiraiya about." "In any case," said Jiraiya as he walked into the room, "it's good to have you back regardless." "Humph," muttered Tsunade, "like you really gave me a choice? Either return here to treat a patient in need and have my debts paid by the village, or keep running from my debtors and break my oath as a medic by ignoring my sensei when he is in need of my help." "Perhaps," said Hiruzen as Jiraiya helped the Sun Daime to a sitting-up position, "but as you are both here now, we have much to discuss. Jiraiya, if you would?" The Toad Sage nodded and made a hand seal, activating several privacy seals that had been placed around the room, ensuring that this conversation would remain private. Once that was done, Jiraiya took a seat next to Tsunade as their former sensei addressed them. "Jiraiya, Tsunade," said Hiruzen, "as you know, I am not a young man anymore, and in my battle against my treacherous student, I was forced to face that fact and pay the consequences because of it. It is time that I give up my hat for good, and that is what I must speak with the two of you about." "Hold on," said Tsunade, "you told me I wouldn't be taking your hat permanently. My position on the job hasn't changed since we last spoke. And I need to maintain my spy network," said Jiraiya, "not to mention my research would be hindered by the paperwork." "As if your smut is enough of a reason to shirk your responsibilities," scoffed Tsunade. "Enough," said Hiruzen firmly, bringing the two up short, "I said I needed your aid, not that either of you two are my choice for a successor. Tsunade, I understand your reasons behind your refusal to take the job, and I respect them. However, your duty is to the village, and as a shinobi of Konoha you will fulfill that obligation. I will need you to take on the role of Hokage for a temporary measure as I prepare my true successor to take your place. In the meantime, I would encourage you to work with the Yamanakas and the Konoha Hospital to both cure your phobia and push forward several reforms to improve upon the skills of our medics, and hopefully reduce the mortality rate of shinobi that are sent on missions. As for you Jiraiya," said Hiruzen, "I understand the importance of your spy network, but it will have to be put aside for a while. Due to my current condition, I will require your aid as we prepare my successor. I shall be passing down to him a large portion of the jutsu I have learned during my lifetime, and you will be helping me do that, considering my current condition." "Sensei," said Jiraiya, "I was actually hoping to take Naruto under my wing and help train him as I travel, helping him better control his bond with the Kyuubi and hammering in several useful techniques as well. I'm afraid that Naruto-kun will be quite busy in coming months," said Hiruzen. "Our victory against Orochimaru's invasion dealt my treacherous student a significant setback, but the victory was not without cost to our side as well. Konoha will have to stand strong despite the cost, and that will require the aid of all of our able shinobi, and as a chunin, Naruto-kun falls in that category." "Very well," said Jiraiya with a sigh, "so who did you select as your eventual successor?" "Well," said Hiruzen with a smile, "he has close ties with your student, my predecessor, and has shown himself to be a strong and competent shinobi, And with his possession of one of the three great Jujutsu, we shall ensure Konoha rises up stronger than ever. You don't mean, said Jiraiya. Indeed, said Hiruzen, while he is not ready yet, Tsunade's term as interim shall give us the chance to prepare him. Scene XX with Naruto back in the village and things return to a relative calm period. The members of Team 7 had gathered at the local barbecue restaurant Yakiniku along with Team Asuma and Lee and Tenten of Team Guy to celebrate their promotions to Chunin. Kakashi had to submit reports about the recent attack and aftermath thereof, but he promised to join the group later. Kanpai cheered the group as they toasted those among them that had earned a promotion. Well, we did it, said Naruto. We survived the Chunin exams. That's putting it mildly, muttered Shikamaru. Who'd have thought that we'd be invaded right after the exams ended? Troublesome. It's not like anyone could have predicted it? Shrugged Choji as he grabbed some meat off the grill. At least we all made it out okay. I still can't believe that, out of our entire team, only Shikamaru got promoted. Groaned Ino. Do not worry, Inazen, said Lee as he gave her a thumbs up. The three of us shall train even harder so that we shall not fail next time. Ah, said Ino hesitantly, having heard of the intensity of Lee and Guy's training regimens from gossip around the village. Right. Actually, said Naruto, I heard that Team 8 and Kurena Sensei have already gone back to training now that things have calmed down. Then we cannot wait, exclaimed Lee. Inazen, Choji-san, let us go and begin training for the next Chunin exam. Down boy, sighed Tenten as she grabbed Lee by the scruff of his jumpsuit and yanked him back into his seat. There will be time for that later. Right now, we're celebrating our friends' promotions. My apologies everyone, exclaimed Lee as he bowed, slamming his head into the table and rattling the dishes due to him being seated. I did not mean to detract from our festivities. As punishment, I shall do 100 laps around the village before sunset. As Tenten pinched the bridge of her nose in exasperation, Sasuke couldn't help but chuckle. You seem practiced in reining him in. Lots of experience, sighed Tenten, almost 2 years worth. Well, now that you're promoted, you won't be stuck with them, said Sasuke. No more crazy training sessions. Yeah, said Tenten before chuckling to herself. Honestly though, I'm going to miss some of those team training sessions. So, should I tell Lee that you'll be joining them tomorrow morning? Asked Sasuke as he pointed over to where Ino and Choji were rapidly paling as Lee described the training he had planned for them. Yeah, I don't miss it that much, laughed Tenten as she clinked glasses with Sasuke, though in all seriousness, don't think I'm letting you off since we both passed the exam. I want a rematch and I won't be beaten as easy next time. Looking forward to it, said Sasuke with a smirk. Though you have to tell me more about how you retrieved Kuketsuki, exclaimed Tenten. The sword is said to be Kumo's equivalent to those used by Kiri's 7 swordsmen of the mist and the Raijin no Ken wielded by the Nidaime Hokage. The fact that a Jonin managed to get his hands on it has to have some kind of story behind it. There is actually, said Sasuke. It all began on our first crank mission, though Naruto insists it should have been an A. A few weeks had passed since Naruto's return to the village and a lot had happened. Tsunade had taken up the role of interim Hokage, with Hiruzen and Jiraiya disappearing to train the true successor in secret, as so not to reveal to the other villages that they were in such a weakened state. During that time, the Chunin of Konoha, both the existing and newly minted, completed many missions in order to help further the rebuilding of the village after the damage it had suffered. It was after one of these missions, that Sasuke was walking through the streets, heading home to rest after a tiring day of beating up bandits, when several cloaked figures leapt down around him. Uchiha Sasuke, said one of them as he pushed back his hood to reveal a pale figure with gray hair that hung down over his right eye. We've been expecting you. Who are you? Asked Sasuke with a frown as he palmed a kunai. We are the Sound Four, said the man. The personal bodyguards of Orochimaru-sama. Our master has requested your presence. Am I supposed to give a damn what that snake bastard wants? Retorted Sasuke with a raised eyebrow. This made several of the figures bristle with indignation, but the leader simply held up his hand to forestall any objections. It seems there has been a misunderstanding, he said, before one of the figures shot forward and spat several globs of webbing at Sasuke that bound his arms and legs together. Your opinion does not come into play, finished the man with a smirk. With that done, the four got into position around Sasuke as their leader pulled out a scroll and unsealed a barrel-like coffin that they placed Sasuke's bound form in. Now, quickly. Acting as one, the Sound Four made several hand seals before clapping their hands together, causing a thick black fog to coalesce in the air above the coffin. Shikaku Mujin. The Sound Four directed the mist to flow into the coffin, causing it to gather around the young Uchiha and absorb him into itself as the four atone and manipulated it. Now to finish, said the leader as he pulled out several sealing tags, Fukoku Hoin. As the lid closed on the container, the Atonin stuck the tags along its surface, sealing it closed. "And that's done," said one of the figures as he threw off his cloak, revealing that atoned man with 6 arms. "Took long enough," said another as she revealed herself to be a redhead with a black helmet. "Orochimaru-sama is waiting, Sakon. We shouldn't have wasted time trying to convince him. We got the job done too, ya," said the now named Sakon. "That's all that matters." "We'll see about that," said a voice, and several Anbu appeared via Sunshine, led by a kunoichi with long purple hair and a ka-themed mask. "Hand over Uchiha-san and surrender." "DCH, told you," muttered Tuya with a grimace. "Regardless," frowned Sakon, "Jirobo, deal with them." "Hi," said the final member as he threw off his cloak to reveal a somewhat heavy-set shinobi with a mostly bald head, Doden, Dorio Dengo. Reaching down, the Oto shinobi gripped the ground in front of him and ripped a massive chunk of it out and held it over his head, the shadow blocking the moonlight as the gathered Anbu took an involuntary step back due to the ferocious display of strength. "Aria," roared Jirobo as he threw the mass of earth forward, forcing the Anbu to scatter. When the elite shinobi managed to collect themselves, the Sound Four had managed to escape. "Scene XX, so, you understand the situation?" said Tsunade grimly as she addressed the individuals gathered in front of her. Upon hearing the Anbu report about Sasuke's capture, Tsunade had put the village on high alert and summoned a team of shinobi in order to track down and retrieve their captured comrade. Unfortunately, the village was still recovering from the fallout of the Oto/Suna invasion, and as such, she was reluctant to send any Jonin or Anbu after these assailants, not wanting to leave the civilian populace vulnerable in case this kidnapping was just a prelude to something worse. Therefore, she decided to call upon some of their newly promoted Chunin to form a specialized team with the intent of rescuing Sasuke before he could be brought to Orochimaru. "Hi, Hokage-sama," said Naruto, a serious look on his face for a change. Naruto had been chosen due to the power he brought to the table due to the Kyuubi and his Rinnegan, with Tsunade feeling he would be needed to match the levels of skill of the shinobi that had been tasked with capturing Sasuke. Alongside Naruto was the third member of Team 7, Hinata, who had been chosen due to her skill with the Byakugan and because it was her teammate that had been captured. Her job would be to track down the Atonin before they could escape. The next shinobi selected had been chosen not for his power, but for his mind. Tsunade had read Shikamaru's profile and the comments Asuma had put in it and was confident that, if properly motivated, he would be able to outthink their enemy and formulate a plan to help them succeed. The final person selected had not been promoted like the others, but the skill, strength, and speed he had shown in the exams made Tsunade feel that Lee would be a valuable asset on this mission. "Let me make this clear," said Tsunade, "we cannot allow Orochimaru to get his hands on Sasuke." Disregarding what it would mean to lose that last loyal member of the Uchiha clan, allowing Orochimaru to get his hands on the Sharingan, and whatever other secrets he can pick from Sasuke's corpse, would grant him a great boon towards his goals. "This cannot happen." "We understand, Hokage-sama," said Shikamaru with a nod, "we won't fail." "Good," said Tsunade, "Shikamaru, because of your skill as a tactician, you'll be in charge of this mission." "Right," said Shikamaru. "The abduction wasn't too long ago, so you still have a chance to catch up," said Tsunade, "good luck." "Hi," said the teens in acknowledgement before hurrying for the village gate. Upon exiting the village, the group quickly headed in the direction of Otogakure, hoping to catch up to their targets before they got too far. The group made quick progress through the treetops and soon enough, Hinata managed to spot the Oto group with her Byakugan, resting in a small clearing, but there was something off. Instead of one coffin, there were 4. "I see them," said Hinata as she deactivated her Dujutsu to conserve chakra. "They're resting just up ahead, and it looks like they prepared decoys for Sasuke's container, but my Byakugan can't penetrate any of them." "Doesn't matter," said Naruto as he punched his fist into his palm, "they're gonna pay for what they did." "Don't be too hasty, Naruto," said Shikamaru. "We can't rush in when we don't know which container holds Sasuke." "Then what do we need to do?" asked Naruto. "We need to divide them up," said Shikamaru, "keep them from mating each other while we take them out. Listen closely." Scene XX. Meanwhile, the members of the Sound Four were sitting in the clearing, each with one of the 4 containers near them, but it was obvious that they were getting a bit antsy. "Are you sure about this, Sakon?" muttered Tuya. "We should be getting the brat to Orochimaru-sama." "You know the secondary objective," said Sakon. "They are just as important as getting the Uchiha to our master." Suddenly, several kunai with explosive tags tied to them flew out of the trees and landed in the ground by each of the Sound Four, causing the Atonin to jump back to avoid the oncoming explosion. But, instead of detonating, the weapons transformed into Cage Bunshine copies of Naruto that lunged for the abandoned containers. "Not so fast," exclaimed Kitamura as he spat several globs of webbing from his mouth that pinned the Cage Bunshine to the ground. The trapped Cage Bunshine weren't given much time to react, as Sakon dispelled them with kunai that were thrown into their bodies. "They're here," said Sakon before a blur shot from the trees behind him. "Dynamic entry," yelled Lee as he aimed a flying kick at the back of the Atonin's head, but to the green-clad Genon's surprise, a pair of arms emerged from Sakon's back and caught his leg before throwing him to the ground and retracting back into Sakon's body. "Everyone," said Sakon as the rest of the team leapt into the clearing, "remember the mission. Go." The other members of the Sound Four nodded and each grabbed one of the containers before they all leapt off, fleeing in different directions. "Crap," muttered Shikamaru, "they planned this. Nevertheless, remember the plan. Divide and conquer. Be careful and don't die." "Right," said Naruto with a determined nod. "We shall rescue Sasuke-san for sure," said Lee. "I'll do my best too," said Hinata. "Then let's get this done," said Shikamaru before the group split up in pursuit of their targets. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.